Experts get you the right machine for your home gym dream setup. And right now, in-store only while supplies last, mention this ad and our listeners get an indoor cycle for free with Select Force USA Home Gyms. Shop stores in Bellevue, Tacoma, Linwood, or visit johnsonfitness.com.
For details.
Let's go!
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma.
This hour is brought to you by the Harnish Auto family.
Give me a freaking auto!
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
I don't read the internet, guys.
Take the bull by the hands.
Styled by Simply Seattle.
And Brooke Ewart. And Brooke Ewart.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Ewart and Mike Salk.
Let's do this. It is the Brock and Salk Show, Seattle Sports on 710, seattlesports.com, Seattle Sports app, the Seattle Sports application, I should say. Formal Friday, of course. Don't forget all of the podcast platforms out there as well. You can find us on all of them, and we certainly appreciate you doing so. Whatever's your favorite, totally fine. We're pretty much good with all of it. Like, it's all basically the same to us. Just jump right on there. I like that. Yeah, actually, we got a 3-star review. You don't see that a lot. Got a random 3-star. Solid morning sports radio program. Pretty typical. Hot takes to drive engagement. Standard coverage of local teams. Mariners, Seahawks, not much Kraken, Sounders, or College. Relevant local and national guests and interviews. A few negatives for me personally is the hosts talking over each other and talking over guests. The first hour of the show generally has a repeat from the day before, which is odd for a podcast. Did they not have enough content to run a 4-hour show? All right, well, we do, but we like to it's also a radio show, and not everybody listens at the same time. So generally, we like to give you the best of the day before in 6:30, in case you're an early listener and don't get a chance to hear some of the stuff later, and usually it's still very relevant. Today, though, we will not have that. There'll be no replay interview at 6:30 today. Instead, I am going to get into something that I think is deeply disturbing, and I'm very concerned about it. And I'll talk to you about it at 6:30. I'll hold off a little bit. I don't like to start off too serious on a Friday morning. Who wants to start off serious?
With Aaron Rodgers being on TV last night?
No. You know what? I didn't even watch Aaron Rodgers. Didn't watch him. How was he? Annoying.
Good, actually, he looks like he's getting healthier.
That's why I didn't watch.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch that. I was at Cecily's hockey practice. That took me through most of it. And then I was eating dinner. And then by the time I remembered that I should also be watching football, it was like game over. It was like 8 o'clock, basically. And I was like, all right, well, there's no real reason to jump on here. What I'm not...
The Patriots didn't really show up.
What I'm not going to do is this. 570. Hey, Sulky. I like that. I like somebody comes in with a Sulky. Although 570 goes IE. I generally think of Sulky as a Y, right?
Yeah.
Sulky with an IE? I don't know. Come on, 570. I feel like there's a Y in there. Anyway, Aaron Rodgers just lit up the team we barely beat. All right. Since Avery is now taking geometry for the first time, we'll discuss the transitive property very briefly. Do you know about the transitive property, Lyle? You've been in high school more recently than the rest of us. Do you know the transitive property?
No.
You don't know that? Did you take geometry?
Yeah, I didn't retain much from high school.
Clearly.
Yeah.
I mean, the transitive property is one of the most important things. It's true in geometry. It's not true in sports. The transitive property means if A is bigger than B and B is bigger than C, then A is bigger than C. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. You could also use it for equivalence. It doesn't have to be bigger than, but it's a relationship where, you can substitute in one over the other, essentially. And it doesn't work in sports.
Well, especially the first few weeks. People always try to do this, the start to the season. Well, this team beat this team, and this team you don't know anything for the first month or so.
That's right. Just because A beats B by 20 and B beats C by 2 does not mean A beats C by 22 or 18 or any other number. It's just not the way sports works. In fact, it doesn't even work with A beats B, B beats C, so A beats C. Matchups are different in sports. Times are different in sports. Health is different in sports. All of these things change on a week-to-week basis. So looking at what one team does versus another and trying to determine what it's going to do when you face that team or where you stand in the pecking order, it doesn't work. It's one of the major problems I have with the ranking system in college football. It's not accurate. What A does against B and B does against C should have zero reference. should have zero influence on what A does against C. Does that make sense, Lyle? Would you have retained it if it was explained to you that way?
Maybe. I mean, I was not motivated at all in high school, so I can't promise you.
Are you motivated now?
Yeah, because I actually care about what I'm doing. I mean, I could go on a tangent about this. I really, really hated school. So yeah.
Why? Why so much hate?
So boring. I didn't think it was like most of it was relevant, so I was pretty tuned out. A lot of it.
You didn't think most of it was relevant?
Not really. I mean, I've learned so much more, and maybe this is just
Can you write?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that part was relevant.
Yeah.
The writing was relevant.
Correct.
Okay. So you learned that.
Yeah.
What about reading? Did you learn about the reading part?
Okay, this is like rudimentary stuff.
No,
Writing,
I mean,
reading,
I don't just mean reading like, your phonics. I mean, like actually reading to understand what an author is saying, and like the high school level reading.
Yeah, time.
Not that.
Listen, I'm with Lyle on math, though. I've barely
You don't ever use math here in this show?
No,
Never.
I
Sure you
use
do.
plenty of basic math.
Right.
I did books for a restaurant that I worked at that did thousands of dollars in sales a night, and like I was just fine. But advanced algebra and geometry, I don't use any of that in my everyday life.
No, but that's about learning how to think. That's about learning how to manipulate your mind and learning how to think.
I got D's in like all of it, and I'm fine. So
Yeah. I am a much better learner. Honestly, I've learned way more in my life over the last couple of years just watching YouTube videos and learning things I want to go out of my way to learn than sitting in school for 6 hours a day.
Wow. Sad to hear. All right. Well, we're going to mute your microphone before more people hear this hot take. 206 agrees. Some might say we beat them up. That used to be a hallmark of Pete Carroll teams. Teams were much more likely to lose a game after facing the Seahawks because we used to beat them up. Regardless of all that, Rodgers did look the sharpest I've seen all year in a game, better than Mahomes, basically didn't miss and looked like the MVP. Well, that's sad. Don't tell me that. It's Friday. I'm in a good mood. I'm going to go play golf later today. I'm going to go to a concert tonight, which, nothing makes me happier. I love live music.
another concert.
Yep. No, Heather and I are going to go to a concert tonight. We're going to go to Numos to see the Sheepdogs, who I've seen before, and put on a phenomenal show. One of the few bands I've ever seen. I'm not going to say they outclassed the band they were opening for, but it was close. Like they were real close. They probably came as close as any act I've ever seen. They were really, really good. So I've been excited to see them again since. And Heather and I are going to go this evening at Numos. So if anybody's there, come say hi. We'll be at the Sheepdogs. It'll be kind of fun. All right, let's see. What else do we want to do this morning? I told you I don't want to start with negative stuff. I've got some negative stuff today, but I felt like yesterday got so negative.
Yeah, you got a little fired up. Are you going to be able to maintain your zen this morning?
I think so. Yeah. Because I'll come to your side. I'll come to the side of the 70% for the day. I mean, yesterday we kind of debated the Julio thing, and I'll come to your side. I talked to enough people. I do seem to be clearly in the minority. Not the only one. I talked to two baseball people that I very much respect yesterday, both of whom completely agreed that they didn't think it was Julio's fault. So, all right, I'm not like alone on an island, but all right, I'll come to the masses. I think it makes it worse, honestly. And when we dig into this at 6:30, I think you'll see what I'm talking about. Before we do that, I did have a baseball scenario that popped up yesterday. Lyle, I'll be curious your take on this, whether or not you know the rule. I did not know the rule and had to look it up yesterday. This comes from my dad. My dad plays men's softball. And after winning his last two big tournaments this year, unfortunately, one of his two big teams bowed out of the playoffs yesterday. It was very sad. He's got one more chance in his other league to win it all. But men on first and second, one out or no outs. Doesn't matter. One out or no out. Pop up hit high in the infield between the pitcher and the catcher. Okay? Umpire immediately yells, infield fly rule in effect. Fine. Nobody catches it. The ball bounces, has backspin, and then immediately goes foul. What's the call?
Aren't you still out? Isn't it still an infield fly?
Because the ump yelled infield fly rule?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. It's not. It's a foul ball.
Really?
Yeah. It's a foul ball. The umpire screwed up. As far as what I could tell reading through it, the umpire screwed up. You're supposed to yell infield fly rule if fair. On anything that's close, you're supposed to yell infield fly rule if fair. And the fact that it ended up bouncing and going foul, the foul ball, I guess, trumps the infield fly rule, which I think is kind of silly because the moment you've yelled infield fly rule, you're saying the batter is out and the runner and the fielders don't necessarily even need to go after the ball. So to me, that's a little bit surprising. But apparently the foul ball trumps the infield fly rule. It's also only supposed to, the umpire screwed up a second way. It's only supposed to be infield fly rule if the ball is obviously catchable. If there's some reason why the ball would not be obviously catchable, the infield fly rule should not be in effect. And in this case, it's a like 70s plus or 60s plus men's softball league, and they have a screen between the pitcher and the batter. So in order to field a pop-up between the pitcher and the catcher, the pitcher has to run around a screen and not kill himself in order to get it. Meanwhile, the catcher is generally the worst fielder on the team. So anyway, just a small, weird baseball rule thing that came up yesterday, since we were talking about a weird baseball thing we'd never seen with the throw down to third base after the bat went flying down there. There's another one. I've never seen an infield fly rule ball go foul. But apparently if it does, that supersedes the infield fly rule. So now you know. Okay, we'll come back. We'll give you guys everything you need to know, and then I'll get into the thing that really concerns me at 6:30. It's Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710.
When you're running the hurry up and don't have time for your favorite Seattle sports shows, listen to the podcast on demand.
How about that? Unbelievable. Who would have thought?
Every hour, every interview, every look behind the scenes.
He is your new Seahawks head coach, Mike McDonald.
We want to play a certain way, and you're just going to chisel away at it every day.
Find us on SeattleSports.com, the Seattle Sports app, or wherever you get podcasts.
All signs continue to point to it being the right hire.
Never miss a minute of Seattle sports, the home of the Seahawks.
You're free now. Free to fill your feed with impossibly chonky chonkers who chonk harder than you ever thought possible.
Cats, corgis, babies, baby penguins, baby pandas, chunky baby pandas.
Free to make your smart devices do silly things. Free to open a world of remote work and a portal into Gametopia.
Who's the boss now?
Free to be everything you imagine, and then some. That's how it feels to have Quantum Fiber Internet. Quantum Fiber, your world unleashed. Learn more at quantumfiber.com. Limited availability, service in select locations only.
My wife and I always loved doing everything together. Jiu-jitsu, kayaking, and intimacy was always on point. It was around my early 30s when I noticed a downward trend. Watching a lot of TV, putting on weight, and just full of self-doubt. I had tried another men's clinic with disappointing results. It's the personalized treatment I receive at Revive Men's Health that has been the complete game changer for me. I've got my energy and motivation back. I'm feeling stronger than I did in my 20s, and it made me a much better husband to my wife.
This is Dr. Andrew Elshouse of Revive Men's Health. If you're always feeling tired or moody, or your sleep is poor, you have low libido, you may be suffering from low testosterone.
Book your free T-check and exam. Call Revive Men's Health Seattle at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
At State Roofing, you can trust us to get your project done right because we prioritize quality and excellence in everything we do. Take advantage of 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest today, and don't pay until 2025. Call State Roofing at 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com.
Fall is near and it's time to break the huddle by taking advantage of Toyota of Kirkland's lifetime powertrain warranty. With a roster of over 70 Tundras and Tacomas, come scout the phenomenal team at Toyota of Kirkland. They'll pass you the keys so you can test drive your vehicle and take it to the house that same day. Big-time players make big-time plays at Toyota of Kirkland. Visit them today at their incredible showroom or online at toyotaofkirkland.com.
Want to listen to Seattle sports on your smart speaker?
Hey, smart speaker, play Seattle sports.
This message is powered by the EQC Sportsbook at Emerald Queen Casino. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
Gear up for game day with GNC. Just like your favorite college team prepares for their matchup each week, you can get ready to crush your fitness goals with GNC. Your coaches are in stores, ready to help you build muscle like a linebacker or slim down after a tough season. They have everything you need, including all the top brands, the new flavors you crave, the hottest protein, pre-workouts, creatine, and more to tackle your fitness goals. Don't wait for the final whistle. Fuel your fitness at GNC. Visit your local GNC or GNC.com today.
Check it out, the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence and camera control for easy access. At Verizon, you can get it when you trade in any phone from one of their top brands.
Any?
Any.
Even if it's 4 years old?
Yeah.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk?
Yep.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk, then a scooter runs it over, so now it's not just old and cracked, but shattered?
With Verizon, the answer is always yes. New and existing customers could trade in any phone from one of our top brands in any condition for the new iPhone 16 Pro with Unlimited Ultimate. Trade-in terms apply. See Verizon.com for details.
The Mike McDonald Show. The first word from the head coach after every Seahawks game.
We want to play a certain way, and you're just going to chisel away at it every day.
Presented by Emerald Queen Casino.
As a Washington State business, you can take advantage of Labor and Industry's no-cost safety and health consultation program. We can help you build out your accident prevention plan, meet safety obligations, and reduce your risk of costly safety citations. You can have us look at a single item or your entire facility. And consultations are confidential, which means you will not be cited if a hazard is found. You'll just need to fix it, and we can help you with that as well. There isn't a safety question we can't help with. To learn more, visit lni.wa.gov/consultations. For over 111 years, Pacific Lamp and Supply Company has been your #1 lighting specialist in Washington. From the Space Needle in Seattle and now all the way to the Riverwalk in Spokane. With the largest lighting inventory in Washington, Pacific Lamp's knowledgeable and experienced staff can assist you with any lighting issue, as well as help with intricate lighting and control designs. Plus, they work with all utilities in Washington to get you the best available lighting rebates. Pacific Lamp and Supply Company, Washington's lighting expert since 1912. Visit pacificlamp.com.
This is the day of the big sale at your gift shop.
Welcome in.
So this isn't just a big day for your business. It's a big day for the network keeping it all connected. That is, if it can handle the pressure.
Next in line, please.
So is it possible to get business internet you can really count on? It is. With 99.9% network reliability from Comcast Business. It's like this neat little bow.
Do you like that gift wrap?
Really ties it all together. Reliable internet for your business. It's not just possible, it's happening. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Switch to Comcast Business and get started with reliable internet and advanced security for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get up to a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying internet package. Don't wait. Call or go online to switch today. Offer ends 9/22/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabit per second internet. Eagle bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After 12 months, regular rates apply.
This hour is brought to you by the Harnish Auto family.
Need to know. Brought to you by Ben's Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
Still a busy injury report for the Seahawks yesterday, but certainly much better looking than the day before. Only Kenneth Walker and Chenna were completely unable to practice at all because of injuries. Most of the other non-participants from Wednesday were at least able to take on some of practice yesterday, so all of them trending in the right direction, and that includes both George Fant and Farrell Brown, both of whom might be able to return this week just based on some of their practice availability. Later today, we'll see who's questionable, who's doubtful, etc. But certainly a lot better looking than this was the other day, and they're going to need a lot of these guys. Miami's supposed to be a playoff team. I know they're missing their quarterback, but this is supposed to be a pretty good football team, and they do some things similar to Seattle, especially defensively. Ryan Grubb, are you going to be looking at the defense that you've been looking at all summer?
Schematically, yeah, similar, very similar. I think there's, just like any coordinator that's come from any branch, or, they're going to have their own flavor on stuff, right? They're going to have some types of change, and they're going to have how they see or interpret the defense or offense schematically, and they're going to put their sauce on it.
Yeah, so some similarities, but you don't expect it to be exactly the same as what Mike McDonald runs, despite them coming from the same tree. I wanted to point this out. We talked about this earlier in this week with Ray Roberts, but it's worth talking about again. What Charles Cross has done so far this season is pretty awesome. This guy is a top 10 pick. the idea was that he was going to grow into a top 5 tackle in the NFL. And through the first 2 years, he was good. But I don't know that we believed that it was done, that he had made the leap to being one of the best tackles in the game. Through 2 weeks, it absolutely has.
Charles Cross, I think I say it all the time, but I really think he gets better every practice. And, if everybody had Charles' attention to detail and preparation, it would be shocking what we would do. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a compliment to Charles. If we do a walkthrough, he is drenched in sweat. His knees are bent on every play. His hand placement and eyes is critical. I mean, he just loves football, and he loves the process of getting ready for a game and going to battle. So I think he's an absolute stud.
Man, I love to hear that, and I don't think it's an accident that he is the one guy on this offensive line that I think you trust pretty implicitly right now.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
All right, Mariners salvaged the finale at home against what appeared to be a hungover Yankees squad yesterday. They might have spent a little too much time celebrating their playoff clinching win the night before. Logan Gilbert finally rewarded for another good outing, another nice day for Luke Raley. Dan Wilson on the win in general.
Another one-run game, no shock there. I thought today was outstanding rebound as we've seen before. 3 runs in the first, huge. Getting the bases loaded there, and then being able to push 3 o'clock cross early. And then I think Raley, with a great throw, I think in the second inning to gun down a runner to preserve that. Logan kind of took it from there, handed it over to a bullpen that's been very, very consistent for us. And, they were able to slam the door. So, a great win tonight or this afternoon and one we needed.
Yeah, I mean, a couple ways of looking at this one. Glad that Logan Gilbert was great and he gets his 200th strikeout in the process. Incredible achievement for Logan. He's been awesome. And yes, the play from Luke Raley is big. But this was another mistake-filled, sloppy affair. You don't score after the first inning. You have another base runner thrown out, this time Dylan Moore in the 8th at third base. I told you I'm coming to your side on the Julio thing. That's 3 in 3 days, guys. That's not on a player. That's 3 different players. That's not exactly the height of concentration here at the most crucial time of the year. That's a trend and something that I will certainly be watching. Twins lose again. Oh, man, the Twins. That puts the Tigers in a tie for the wild card as Detroit wins. So realistically, Mariners are 3 back of both teams with 9 to play. So that means if either Detroit or Minnesota goes 5-4, either of them, the Mariners would need to finish 8-1. That's kind of what you're looking at here down the stretch. Astros win as well, so the division lead is now 5 games. And we got to mention what Shohei did yesterday.
On a 1-2, Ohtani sends one in the air, the other way, back it goes, gone!
Yeah, he joins the 50-50 club and does it in style. 6 for 6 with 3 home runs. Is that right? Did I read that right?
I believe, yes.
That's insane. That's like the greatest game anybody's ever had.
Yeah, well, they won 20-4.
6 for 6
yes.
with 10 driven in, 3 home runs, including your 50th to make it a 50-50 season. Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, you're also the best pitcher in baseball when you're healthy. I don't even really know how to comprehend all of those things at the same time, but he's sure done them. Very impressive.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
Finally, Kraken training camp starts yesterday. A couple storylines to watch. Biggest one for me is going to be the progress of young Shane Wright, who's likely to be with the club to start the season, going to be given a legit chance to show he belongs at the NHL level. Kind of done what he needs to in the minors, and now show it for real. What do you look like with real men around you? And curious to see how Dan Bylsma uses him. Who does he put around him? Whose locker is he next to? Same maybe with the newcomer Chandler Stevenson, guy who should provide another top 6 kind of presence, but like a lot of the guys in this Kraken top 6, really not necessarily top 3. Not dominant, legitimate top-line center. First preseason game will be on Sunday, I think, against Calgary. That's everything you need to know. 1/4 every hour here on the Brock and Salk Show. Well, you look like you had something you wanted to say there, Lyle. You want to jump in on something there with the mistakes that they were making? Was that it?
Well, they scored 3 runs in the first inning, partly because Jason Dominguez dropped the easiest fly ball ever.
What's going on with that guy? That guy seems like a disaster.
Which is crazy because he was tabbed as getting comps to Mickey Mantle when he was coming through the minors.
Well, I mean, he's a Yankee prospect and he got called. Really? You don't say. They built up a prospect to be bigger than he really is? No. That's weird.
Yeah, well, he was really supposed to be a big deal, and he hasn't quite been that.
Well, he was a mess in this series. Yeah, so they score 3 runs in the first. They go quiet from there. Yes, some of it comes off the error. And then again, just another boneheaded base running mistake. Now, I'm not saying that those never happened over the last 8 or 9 years. They did. I mean, all teams have them. But it was not a hallmark at all. In fact, quite the opposite. The Mariners played pretty clean games. 3 in 3 days like that? All while you're kind of like on your last legs and very strange. Very, very strange. And maybe that's what leads me to this quote that I'm going to play you guys next. I heard something yesterday. I read it. I listened to it. And I it means one of 2 or 3 things. None of them are great. It's next on Brock and Salk.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
When you make the playoffs consistently, you just hit another gear. Do you think at any point the Houston Astros, when they were 10 games back or when they were really struggling, having the worst season they'd had in 6 years, we're out of this?
Probably not.
Because winning a lot and winning consistently changes you.
It really does.
And so that's the next level for the Mariners to get to, frankly. In addition to adding this offseason, in addition to doing all of these things, make yourself intimidating. Make yourself the bully. Make yourself believe in yourself. This team just needs to sharpen that.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app.
And a local owner of Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington. With your help and the Improve Your Play program, Pella has chosen a local youth athletic program to receive a $5,000 grant. Luke, who's the lucky winner this week?
Rick, we could not be more excited to announce Pac West Little League as one of 2 winners of this $5,000 grant.
Thanks to Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington for helping our local youth thrive.
Days are getting shorter. Football is back. Our team is starting out strong. We don't want your sinusitis, allergies, and congestion coming back strong as well. Hey, it's Dr. Ryan Stern of the Stern Sinus Center. My team specializes in fixing your ENT issues. From allergy workups and treatment to modern nasal breathing procedures to advanced balloon sinuplasty, we can diagnose and treat your problems. Let us help you get the relief you need. Come see us in Federal Way or Auburn or at sternsinus.com. That's sternsinus.com.
Tommy! I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy 2. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
At the Home Depot, we know Saturdays are for college football. That's why we have everything you need to never miss a play, like Bear Dynasty interior paint, their most durable one-coat hide paint ever. From a team color statement wall to a fan cave, complete with a mural honoring Nick Saban's 17-year dynasty.
Hey, I like that idea.
Nothing beats Bear Dynasty interior paint. It's everything you need all in one can.
Defend your game time with Bear and the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Valid only when tended to colors from the Bear Dynasty and Marquee Interior One-Coat Hide Color Collection.
When you switch and save with Progressive, you could use that money towards golf lessons to become a scratch golfer. Progressive cannot guarantee that you will ever become a scratch golfer. Scratch golfers are really, really good. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds on average, and sure, you could put that money towards lessons, but if you can't hit the broadside of a barn and think you're going to become a scratch golfer, you're delusional. Sorry, just telling it like it is. Savings? Maybe. Scratch golfer? Don't hold your breath. Switch and see if you could save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance and Affiliates. Not available in all states. It's universally accepted that golf is hard. Progressive cannot guarantee improved performance on the course.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contests are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on seattlesports.com or in person at the station during regular business hours. The noon hour of the Bump and Stacy Show is powered every day by the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law Personal Injury Lawyers. Go to pendergastlaw.com.
Hey, college students, want to save more on groceries? Every dollar counts, so my friends at Safeway are helping by giving all university, community, and technical college students an extra 5% savings every day. It's called Safeway for You. Sign up is free and easy. Safeway for You members get extra savings with perks, points, and free products. For all the details and terms, visit Safeway.com/FOR and the letter U. That's Safeway.com/for-you.
Bring your whole crew to the game with the Mariners Suite at T-Mobile Park. Whether you're planning a special birthday party for friends and family or a company outing for up to 400 coworkers, there's no better spot for an unforgettable experience. Enjoy the suite life with premium catering, VIP parking, private Skybridge entry, and more. Plus, season ticket members get 15% off. Reserve your suite today at mariners.com/suites.
And the pitch up the middle, JP!
Have you tried the dining district at the Bellevue Collection? Grab lunch with friends, meet up for happy hour, and stay for dinner and beyond. You can sample international flavors and local favorites from talented chefs. Try a new cocktail on a rooftop bar or watch the game with friends and explore the lively nightlife scene. The dining district at the Bellevue Collection, where your taste adventure begins. Learn more at BellevueCollection.com/dining district.
How would you like to have a brand new roof in time for winter? And even better, how about an honest local contractor known for their quality work? If you use Asset Roofing, you will have both. I can personally recommend Asset Roofing. Now through winter, if you need your roof replaced, make sure you get a bid from Asset Roofing. Get a free estimate now at AssetRoofingCo.com.
Certified work that's never in doubt. Asset Roofing, excellence is on the house.
Brock and Salk's Rewind is presented by Toyota of Kirkland.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
I'm going to interpret something here that I think a lot of you aren't going to like, and I'll preface it by saying I get it. I understand if you're not going to like what I have to say here. You may not agree with me. You may not believe me. You may think I'm being sensational. You may think I'm overreacting. Okay, I'll take it. If that's what you think, that's totally fine with me. I'm not going to try to fight about it. I'm not going to get mad about it. I'm not going to get angry. It's not worth it. I think what I think. And I have this take based on the time I've spent around baseball teams and baseball managers and baseball players, going back to about 2006 when I first started covering the game inside a clubhouse. If you don't agree with me and if you think I'm totally off base here, that's fine. Feel free to let me know. I'm sure you will anyway. You can always text the show at 866-979-3776. But what I heard yesterday, I think is enormous news. And I haven't heard a lot of folks talking about it, but that's okay. I'm going to. And I'll play you the sound here in a moment, and then I'll tell you why I think it's such a big deal. This does go back to what happened with Julio the other night, right? We remember the play. He's on third base, nobody out, 10th inning, a Rosarena at the plate. You get a weird, one of the strangest plays I've ever seen. And in fact, I've never seen the play happen before. As the bat goes flying out of Randy's hand on strike 3, it flies right at Julio. He jumps out of the way. He kind of, maybe exaggerates the whole thing a little bit, and he's off the bag. They throw down a third. He's out. It's a weird strike him out, throw him out. Now there's 2 outs. You lose the game. People very mad at Julio. As I said yesterday, I didn't necessarily hold him responsible, but all right, I'll come to you guys. I'll go with everybody. I'll go with the group. Okay, he's responsible. Yesterday, Dan Wilson said this when asked about the play and any conversations he had with Julio.
Yeah, I mean, he came into my office and apologized for making a mistake there, and I really respect him for that. And we had a good conversation, and today is turn the page and we start new. And again, the sun's out today, and it's a chance for us to go out and get back to what we do. That's what we're focused on, right?
All right, in case you couldn't hear the audio, it's not perfect, it's good. He came into my office and apologized for making a mistake there, and I really respect him for that. That's the line from Dan Wilson. Then he goes on to say we had a good conversation. Today's turn the page. We start new. And then he goes on to talk about the sun being out, etc. He came into my office and apologized for making a mistake there. And I really respect him for that. That's a really, really big statement. That is not something you generally hear from modern managers. It's certainly not something you ever heard from Scott Servais during his time here as the manager of the Mariners. Now, maybe after comments made, Cal Raleigh's comments, George Kirby's actions and comments, yeah, okay, kind of not quite off the field, but not play, if that makes sense, right? I have not heard a manager make a comment like this in a long time. To be clear, he is publicly telling the press that Julio came to him to apologize for the gaffe. Wow. So again, I obviously don't necessarily agree with a lot of folks, or Dan especially, with the responsibility on that play, but I'll defer to him. He's the manager. He's been around baseball a lot longer than me. But if he's right, as I said, it means the team has now made 3 horrible base running mistakes in 3 nights with 10 to 12 games left. That's a trend. 3 different players, by the way. Why was only one called out? Why does only one need to come in and apologize? Why do you only tell the press when one of them apologizes?
Well, he was asked specifically how Julio handled that, because I think that one was a little more public. Like, it got a little more attention.
It did. It certainly was not the worst of the 3. The Victor Robles one was significantly worse. Significantly worse.
Yeah, he kind of just said, like, oh, that happened.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah. He's an aggressive player. Oh, okay. Was there anything yesterday calling out Dylan Moore for running to third base randomly with a ground ball in front of him? No, didn't hear that. What about a couple of weeks ago when Luis Rivas bunted with 1 out and it ended up working out? It was early in the game, but there's a belief that he did it on his own and that the manager wasn't happy about it. Did you hear Dan talk about Luis coming in and apologizing? What about when Robles bunted with 1 out and a man on first another couple weeks ago, and that didn't work out at all, and that was a total disaster? Did he call out Luis Robles or Victor Robles afterwards? Because I didn't hear that.
You don't think it could just be that those guys didn't come in and apologize and Julio did, so you're just answering the question?
No, I really don't. That's not generally how managers function.
I'm just asking because, like, Lyle and I didn't take it the way that you did immediately, but I know you've been around a lot of baseball, so I'm trying to see how you...
To not cover for your player, especially your superstar player, is a major, major message. And the fact that he did not choose to cover for Julio tells me one of a few things are true, and I'm not sure any of them are great. Maybe Julio is a major problem who needs to be, brought down a peg or 2, so to speak. Maybe this has been building, and Julio is entitled, and Julio is lazy, and Julio is problematic, and they've tried everything to try to reach him, and the last resort is we're going to publicly embarrass him. Okay, maybe it's that. That would surprise me. Doesn't feel like Julio, but that's certainly a possibility. It's a risky strategy a month into being the manager here with a guy who's got a, 8-year guaranteed contract left for hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't know if that's the route I would go, but if that's like the road to take now with Julio, okay, that's one, but that's a really scary situation if that's where Julio's at. 2, another possibility, Dan wants to run this like a 1980s and 90s manager. That's another pretty risky strategy, given how much the game has changed. I watched Terry Francona win 2 World Series and was around him for a lot of that, and he did a lot of it by essentially reprimanding and correcting privately, praising and covering publicly. Manny Ramirez was as big a problem inside a clubhouse as anybody has probably ever been. Every day, there was Tito. Manny's hammy, barking. Hammy's barking. He couldn't make it out today. He couldn't hustle after that one. Hammy's barking. Didn't run down a first, but Hammy's barking again. Yeah, okay. So anytime there was a, Manny being Manny moment, what does manager do? Yeah, no, he's good. It's just his hamstring. He's fine. He'll be fine tomorrow. Not he came in and apologized. Not, I didn't do anything to help the guy. Not I'm not going to run out to third base and try to argue with the umpire to try to help him out and try to back up my player. None of which we saw this week, which, again, shocked me. Even if you're mad at him, even if you think what he did was wrong, you're not going to go out and publicly back up your star player? Shocking. Shocking to me. Why not go out? Hey, come on, man. Why don't you blow the play dead? There's a bat flying at my player's head. No, didn't do that at all. Surprising to me. Very surprising. So I don't know what the deal is here. I don't know why he's choosing to handle it this way. And again, no blame necessarily, as I said. Maybe this is the moment that Julio needs. Or maybe you've got a manager that is either like unaware of how things are kind of done now or doesn't want to play that game. And I got to tell you, I think that's real dangerous in today's version of baseball. Especially, we'll see how Julio reacts to all this. If I came in and said something to my manager, I don't know that I'd want that to be public. It's generally something that isn't made public. If Julio wants to make it public, then let Julio make it public. Why is the manager making it public? Honestly, the entire thing completely confused me.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, because we are getting a lot of people, like this person says that he is protecting Julio by saying that it makes Julio look good. If you are trying to publicly embarrass him, I think the majority of the public is just going to think like, oh, that's cool that Julio apologized. Like, I don't think that's how most people take it.
Well, God, did I ever think of it differently? Not even a little bit. I mean, like, my experience in baseball has been that you protect publicly and teach and criticize and whatever else you need to do privately. That stuff doesn't need to be in the media. That stuff doesn't need to be made public. I was shocked that this is public. I read that yesterday. I almost fell over. Honestly,
yeah,
I read it yesterday.
When you texted us last night, I was like, wow, I was
shocked.
It was that big of a deal.
I was absolutely shocked. Shocked by it. Completely blown away when I read it. And yeah, maybe being around Terry Francona and Scott Service for the large majority of my time covering baseball, they're not the only managers I've been around, but they're the two I've been around the most. Maybe that affected me. Maybe I'm viewing it through that lens. As I said, like, that's the lens I've got. But I covered and was around Scott for 9 years? How long has Scott been here? 9 years? And I was around Tito for 4, I think it was, 3 or 4 years that I was around Tito. And I think a lot of both of them, I never heard either of them do anything like this. Never heard either of them say anything like that in moments of play on the field. And I know there's folks that don't even like the first part of my take, and I'll reiterate some of the reasons for it. I got the 360 saying, since managers don't coach, as the manager isn't the manager, or why would they be, since they're not in charge of coaching hitters, why would they be accountable for base running? I'm happy to answer that question. Hitting is a physical skill that's incredibly difficult to do. There's a pitcher on the other side who is trying to strike you out, and you're going, mano a mano, and good luck, right? The coach or the manager can't do it for you. You've got to just rise to the occasion physically, and even if you do everything right, they still might get you out. It's a process. Base running is mental, right? It's decision-making. You're in charge of it. And when base running mistakes add up, especially when they're by multiple players, as I've always said, mental mistakes reflect on the manager. This is not a new take. This is a very old take. In fact, it's one of the things I said many, many times in favor of Scott, that because his teams did not make a lot of mental mistakes, I felt like they came prepared to play every single day in the right mindset to play baseball. They generally played clean. They generally didn't make base running mistakes. They generally didn't make mental mistakes in the field. They didn't forget the outs. They didn't do things like that. Those things generally, for me, reflect on the manager. 3 base running mistakes in 3 days. It's not like the game Lloyd McClendon had where they made a base running mistake at every single base. That was unbelievable and was probably the end of the McClendon era. This isn't that. I'm not trying to turn it into it. But 3 in 3 days, that's sloppy. That's the mental state that you're in as a team. To me, that's kind of a big deal. Salk, you said yourself the game has changed. Maybe your past experience is not relevant to today's management environment. Quite the contrary. This is the new management environment. The old management environment would have been to just completely call your guys out all the time. Players are disposable, just whatever. The new management style is built much more on players having guaranteed contracts, on players making a lot more money and often having a lot more power than the manager. And how do you middle manage a player that has a better contract than you do? Generally, most of the top managers in the game have done it by doing exactly what I just said. Reprimanding and correcting privately, praising and covering publicly. I don't know how Julio's going to react to it. Maybe it'll be fine. Maybe this will blow over. My guess is, knowing other baseball players, they don't generally like this stuff to be public. I'm surprised it was made public. That there were a million different points here along the way for it to be curbed, for it not to have become a public thing. And it surprises me that Julio got this while everybody else who's made mistakes in the last month did not. To me, those things are telling. If you don't agree with it, totally fine. Totally get it. If you think that I'm making a mountain out of a molehill, fine. I get it. Easy to stick your head in the sand, but okay. I think that this is a big deal. I think that this is different from anything I've seen in a while. And I'm sure there are going to be people that totally disagree with me. That's okay. You can. This is my opinion on it based on what I've seen in the game, what I've been around, and we'll see how it turns out. But it was surprising. It was definitely surprising for sure.
Wow. All right. Yeah, I just I'm not saying you're wrong. I just did not. I was shocked when you sent us that a text last night saying that you thought this was a big deal because I did not. You sent us that tweet. I think Daniel Kramer had posted the quote earlier in the day, and I thought nothing of it.
I almost vomited. Like Jay Buhner, I saw it and was like, what? Oh my God. I couldn't believe it. I literally almost fell over. I didn't actually vomit, but I almost fell over.
I guess I didn't think of anything of it either. I guess I just figured, oh, this is the way to kind of bury the hatchet and move past it. I guess that was my thought.
Wow. If I was in Julio's shoes, I would be absolutely furious. I'm not saying he is. He might not be. I would be absolutely furious. Absolutely furious. I would be shocked. So that's me. We, as we said, we all kind of feel a little bit differently on something like this, but that one definitely surprised me. So that's my thought on it. We're going to do a lot of football today. Brady's going to be in at 7:00. We got a ton of sound we're going to get to from press conferences yesterday and everybody who's spoken. But just wanted to I wanted to give you my thought on it, even though I know that this will be a unpopular one, and I'm sure a lot of folks will completely not want to hear it. Totally fine.
Well, I know we were thinking about maybe doing some around the NFL here. We don't really have that much time before Brady, but do you want to hear an opinion from someone else that a lot of people are disagreeing with right now?
Oh, sure. Yes, always.
You could be in company. Did you hear what Mel Kiper had to say on ESPN's Get Up on Thursday morning about...
oh, my gosh. This is amazing.
Yeah. I'd like to get your take on this.
Yeah, let me hear it. Do we play it, and then I can... I'd be happy to react to it.
You think about those quarterbacks who would throw the ball down the field. I said what Bradshaw did with Stallworth and Swan, Roger Staubach. That's what I want to see brought back. Say, well, you can't do that, right? Well, you got a 5-yard rule with the cornerbacks, right? The Mel Blount rule, right? Now with the push thing with Hurts, you got to be a yard back now. So don't tell me you can't have those safeties closer to the line of scrimmage than they are. I was at games where I'm thinking, hey, too high? They're out in outer space, too. I couldn't even find us. They're playing with 9 guys, right? Where are the other 2? Oh, the other 2, they're so daggone far back, I didn't even know they're part of the damn play. I'm telling you, we got to change this thing, and we got to have, hey, you can warn them. They come up, hey, guys, you got to get up a little bit, right? You're too far back. Warn those safeties, but you got to figure out, competition committee, somebody's got to figure out what that depth is, but it's too far back right now. The NFL is being ruined by these too high safety.
So does he
ban
actually
too high safety?
Does he actually say ban them?
I think that was the.
I heard him say the NFL is being ruined by it. I haven't actually heard him say ban it. Maybe he did. I don't know. But those two things are pretty different. He might be right. The passing game is being ruined by the too high safeties. Started a couple of years ago with Patrick Mahomes, right? Where he couldn't figure out what to do. And people finally started taking down Mahomes because of the too high safety look. Yeah, all right. But that, and if the NFL, the NFL has done so many different things to try to promote the passing game.
Apparently, at one point, he did say it should be outlawed.
He did actually say it should be outlawed. I mean, that's absurd. That's an indefensible comment. Absolutely indefensible. It really is, especially when the way to be. It's not like in baseball with the shift where you're like, just go the other way. Like, oh, okay, because that's easy. You can't just go the other way. Like that's not like guys throwing 98-mile-an-hour cutters at you. Like, yeah, you can't just go the other way. You can just run the ball, right? You can just come up with this is the story of football. Defenses correct this way, offenses change that way, defenses evolve this way, so offenses do that. Like, this is the entire story. It was just a couple of years ago. I think I'm old enough to remember. Lyle, maybe you don't. I don't know. I'm old enough to remember a few years ago when was it the Rams and Chiefs who played that Sunday night or Monday night or Thursday night game, and everyone's like, this is the future of football.
In Mexico City.
Is that the one?
I think because
there were like 100 points scored in the game,
yes.
And it was declared that was the future of football, and another reason why Pete was a fuddy-duddy and this and that. They'll never go back, and defense is dead, and defenses will never do anything. And it's like, since that game,
it was 54-51.
There you go. Since that game, defenses have been getting better almost steadily by the day, to the point where we were going through those numbers earlier this season from Steve Palazzolo, all about how the touchdowns are down, throwing is down, passing yardage is down, and it's been dropping pretty steadily because defenses figure stuff out. Because they come up with new ways to evolve, and they force the offense to evolve again. And the offenses will, because that's the nature of this game and has been for 100 years. There will be a next evolution. The idea of trying to remove one of the few tricks the defense has in its bag to stop a passing game? What? Cover two's been around forever. What are we talking about?
Well, and oftentimes when teams want to get out of the too high safety look, you run the ball. If you run the ball well, then you get out of the look.
Yeah. Oh, they're only playing with 9 guys. Great. Then you should have a pretty good edge in the running game.
That's what pretty much all the NFL players that responded to.
Of course. Yes. And the one thing I will say in Mel's favor, and I'm not going to agree with banning it. That's absurd. Okay, like let's put that on an island as an absurdity. And sort of the rantings of somebody who just wants to go back to the way things were 30 years ago, 50 years ago. Fine. But the other part, again, he's sort of right? The too high safety is hurting the passing game in the NFL. That's true. The one thing I think I would say if I were Mel in response is, yeah, okay, running the ball should be the best way to combat this, but they don't run it enough in college, and the linemen who come into the NFL aren't really prepared for it. They're not good at it. They haven't been trained their whole life. And so while I agree, sure, it should be the answer to just go run the ball, the guys who are here can't run. Here's the problem. So much of what we hear, remember we were talking to Daniel Jeremiah last week, and he said there aren't enough pass blocking guys out there to try my idea of a run-pass switch in your in your offensive line. So I don't know. That doesn't make a ton of sense. I got to be honest. Like, what? You're going to ban too high safeties?
Why? It was a wild take from Mel. I'm not even sure why Mel, he is normally their college football expert. I'm not even sure why he's on there talking about banning too high safeties in the NFL.
Yeah, I don't either. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Anyway, I got a ton of your texts coming in. Salk Service did the same thing with Kirby last September. Totally different. That was behavioral. Totally different deal. That was behavioral, not play in the game. Totally different deal. Yeah, absolutely. When things like that go down, I said it, Cal's comments, Kirby, I mentioned that. Totally different. But stuff that you see in the game like that, very, 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 very surprised. Very surprised. All right, Brady's going to be in here for a couple of hours, and so we're going to talk a ton of football. He's got a pretty hot take, I think, as well, which we'll do in, I don't know, let's say a half hour. It's Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710, seattlesports.com.
2-0.
The Seahawks win the game in overtime against the Patriots.
The Hawks look to remain undefeated as they host Tyreek Hill and the Miami Dolphins.
Gino's going to let it fly. DK's wide open. 10, 5, strides in, touchdown, Seahawks.
This Sunday, Hawks, Dolphins, kickoff 1:05. Pregame starting at 10 on your home for the Hawks, Seattle Sports.
Holy catfish!
Your new beginning starts now. D.R. Horton has new construction homes available throughout the greater Seattle area. With spacious floor plans, flexible living spaces, and home technology packages, you can enjoy more cozy moments and sweet memories in your beautiful new home. With new home communities opening throughout the Seattle area, D.R. Horton has the ideal home for you. Visit drhorton.com to learn more. D.R. Horton, America's builder. An equal housing opportunity builder.
For over 111 years, Pacific Lamp and Supply Company has been your #1 lighting specialist in Washington. From the Space Needle in Seattle and now all the way to the Riverwalk in Spokane. With the largest lighting inventory in Washington, Pacific Lamp's knowledgeable and experienced staff can assist you with any lighting issue, as well as help with intricate lighting and control designs. Plus, they work with all utilities in Washington to get you the best available lighting rebates. Pacific Lamp and Supply Company, Washington's lighting expert since 1912. Visit PacificLamp.com.
Green Day present the Saviors Tour. Live in Seattle, T-Mobile Park, September 23rd. Performing both Dookie and American Idiot in their entirety, plus fan favorites and tracks from their new album, Saviors, with the Smashing Pumpkins, Rancid, and the Linda Lindas. Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. Green Day, the Saviors Tour, fueled by Monster Energy.
It's football season, and that means colder weather is on the way. If it's time to update your windows and doors, talk to Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington. Local owner Keith Dashafee has a great deal just for you.
That's right, Steve. Now you can get 20% off qualifying installations or 0% financing for 24 months with equal payments. Just schedule a free consultation with Pella Windows and Doors at PellaPNW.com.
Thanks, Keith. Check out the unbeatable selection of windows and doors today at PellaPNW.com. That's PellaPNW.com.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals, and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio, so we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
What other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, it sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Endless hours of research, seeking referrals, dozens of calls. Hiring the right attorney can be a challenging process during an already difficult time. J.P. Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains.
In Washington State, Tom, there are thousands of attorneys to choose from. Referrals and online research can be helpful, but discovering the right attorney requires a conversation. It can be hard to identify integrity and authenticity without that interaction.
So, what do you recommend?
We encourage anyone looking for personal injury representation to call for a free consultation with our team before making a decision simply based on referrals or online research. Accident victims need an attorney that listens, demonstrates honesty and is genuinely understanding of their unique circumstances. The care, attention, and preparation that our firm provides throughout the case mirrors the effort involved when taking on the insurance companies.
Save time and avoid mistakes after an injury. Contact the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
When you're on a business trip, you know what goes completely off the rails? Your workout routine, especially when you book a hotel that doesn't have a gym. So what ends up happening is you do a few push-ups and sit-ups in your room, run around the block, or just skip it entirely. Lame. If you just stay at La Quinta by Wyndham, you'll discover there's a fully equipped fitness center at every location. Now you can wake up and power your buys and tries the right way or de-stress with some cardio. The choice is yours. Tonight, La Quinta, tomorrow you shine. Book direct at lq.com.
Are you ready to unleash the beast?
Monster Energy is here to give you the edge this college tailgate season. Loaded with bold flavors, our powerful blend gives you the energy you need to push you beyond your limits. Tune in all season long with Monster, the energy drink of ESPN Radio College Football Tour. Power your performance with a drink that's as hungry for victory as you are. Crack open an ice-cold Monster and dominate your competition. Monster Energy. Unleash the beast. Grab yours today.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
This hour of the Brock and Salk Show is powered by Star Rentals, preferred supplier to the West's best contractors.
Give me a freaking auto! From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
Brock Ewert is my hero.
Jay Buhner just punched me in the kidney.
Brought to you by Simply Seattle.
We're going to cue you on the interview.
Doesn't really work that way, Sherm. This is a show that has my name on it.
It kind of does, though.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Ewert and Mike Salk.
Hello! No Brock Ewert today. Brady Henderson in his stead. Hi, Brady.
Hi. I just turned my microphone on.
By yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, you're really becoming a pro.
I know.
You're getting the hang of this
whole radio
now,
thing figured out.
Wait till you start going one ear on the headset. Then you'll really...
I just had the one ear thing.
There you go. Yeah, now you're really be doing it.
Yeah.
I can't do 2 ears. It makes me feel uncomfortable.
You have your... Oh, yeah.
I'm always one ear off. Yeah, 2 ears makes me very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I like my own voice is too loud in my head at that point. I feel like I'm swimming in my own voice.
Well, if G pops in here, then you can hear him coming.
True.
You know,
yeah.
with the one ear open.
So. You never know when Jay Buhner might come in and attack you from behind.
Punch you in the kidney.
It's happened before and could happen again. Brady, lots happened since we chatted last week. It's another Football Friday, powered by Snoqualmie Casino Sportsbook. And Seahawks are 2-0. How about that?
They are 2-0.
You were there.
I was there in Foxborough. Yeah,
and?
First time in Boston area. You don't want to hear about that. You want to hear about the Seahawks. Yeah, that was I would say that was anytime you go on the road, a West Coast to East Coast trip for a 10 a.m. Pacific time kickoff, that's a good win. But I will say this, that I don't think that film session they're doing it on Tuesday now. It used to be, Tell the Truth Monday, where they would watch the film as a team. I don't think there was a whole lot of patting on the back in that.
Yeah, it wasn't a pretty win.
Right. It wasn't a pretty win. It was a win, and it was a long road trip win, and it was an overtime win where they again showed a lot of resiliency, and they overcame some adversity in that game. They overcame some offensive line challenges, next to no run game, some spotty tackling, and they got a win. But I think that there is a pretty high standard in that building that's being implemented by Mike McDonald, and so I don't think that anybody in that building is sitting high on the hog and thinking that, they're 2-0 and they're all of a sudden, world beaters.
All right, we'll come back to that and sort of where they're at as a standard here in a little while. But they get just sort of on the football field. What did you learn about them, kind of watching them in that environment?
Well, I don't know if we learned anything about Geno Smith. It was really just reinforcement of what we already know about him, which is that this guy is one of the more clutch quarterbacks in the NFL. And it's so interesting that, the last 2 seasons, really last season, he really showed that. Remember, that was the issue, his first kind of foray into the starting lineup when he was replacing Wilson late in the 2021 season. Remember, he made those 3 starts plus the appearance in the Rams game when Wilson went down, and that was the question of, in 3 of those games, they all had opportunities to obviously they won the fourth game, the Jacksonville start easily, and he played incredible in that game. But in the three before that, like there was an opportunity to win those games and they couldn't get it done. And so I think that was a big question going into last season is, how would he be with the game on the line? And he showed it. 7 go-ahead touchdown passes in the fourth quarter or overtime. I believe that set a single-season NFL record. He had, I think 5 game-winning drives, and then he did it again in this game. And it was, just that game was on his back. In that, 0 run game, defense. They made some plays, and the special teams got him a big play with the block, and defense bowed up in overtime there. But he really had to put that offense on his back in that game, and he did it, and he came through in the clutch again.
Where are you at with the defense?
I still remains to be seen. The tackling was, I think, the letdown, and really just the run defense in that game. And as good as it was in the opener, they held Denver's running backs to 2.6 yards per carry. I think it was a little different in that game just because they knew that Bo Nix was not going to test them down the field, and I think they could commit a lot to the run game.
Made them super one-dimensional.
Right. And, I think to some degree that should have been true against New England just because that's, it's a veteran quarterback, so that was different than Bo Nix making his first start. But that was also, it's fair to say, a pretty limited wide receiver core.
Yeah, that's 2 in a row, right? You sort of face 2 wide receiving, two teams that are really weaponless.
Yeah, it was. And, you look at the list of receivers. I think New England only had, their wide receivers combined for 3-4 catches in that game. They had the touchdown to Jalen Polk in the first quarter, but aside from that, they really got nothing out of their receivers. So I think, one way, I guess if you're looking at it optimistically, the run defense is, you look at the overall yards, and the overall yards weren't all that bad. Jacoby Brissett didn't light the world on fire, and so maybe you could say they sort of forced New England to run the ball, and they ran the ball a lot.
Yeah, I was a little more impressed. I know people have been kind of down on the defense, and as I said, my opinion might be skewed a little bit because I listened to the first half, watched the second half in overtime.
Okay.
I was driving back from the Gorge, so I listened to Rabel and Wyman for the first half, and so I think a lot of the problems they had maybe were in that first half with the tackling, et cetera. And so I didn't see those with my eyes. I listened to them, which, doesn't sound as bad, to be honest with you, right?
You don't see it.
Tends not to, when you don't see it, you don't tend to be as mad about it. I thought some of the things they did in the second half in the big moments, just like you were talking about Geno and his clutch moments, I thought what the defense did in the clutch was enormous. Forcing a long field goal, stopping them with 58 seconds left after McDonald's decision to kick the field goal rather than to go for it on 4th and 1, which surprised me. I would have gone the other way. I thought his rationale was phenomenal, and the conversation we had about it on Monday was great, but in that moment, I would have gone for it rather than give them a potential short field just needing a field goal. But his defense completely stepped up in a scenario where most defenses don't in the NFL anymore. And then they lose the coin toss and 3-and-out them in overtime. Set up a situation where they're very much in the driver's seat and in a position to win. I don't say any of that to take away from what the offense did, just to say that, man, I thought the defense was a whole lot better than people have been giving them credit for.
Well, and they also got the stop at the end of the first half, right?
Yeah.
And there was also another interesting decision. Just taking a quick aside there, like Mike Macdonald will not. There's some things he just won't give you a whole lot on. When I say you, I mean you,
injuries?
Me, the media.
We joked about the injury thing on Monday.
Injuries.
He was like, "Yeah, good luck."
He doesn't want to talk a whole lot about injuries. It's been interesting to me, and I appreciate this, that he will talk about kind of the decision-making process sometimes. And I asked him after the game about that sequence at the end of the first half where, remember New England gets the ball back. They're sort of backed up against their own goal line. There's, a minute or so left, a couple minutes. And there's a decision there where, if the Seahawks, if you're trying to get the ball back there to try to steal a score before halftime, do you call your first timeout? They had 3.
Yep.
Do you call your first timeout after you make that first stop? Or do you try to get 3 stops and then save all 3 of your timeouts? He did the latter. But he's, talked about, I asked him afterwards, like, was there a thought to using that first timeout after you get that first stop for no gain on the first play? And he was like, yeah, there is, some thought to that. But the idea is if you, if you keep all 3 of your timeouts, you sort of force them to play a certain kind of way. And then then you get the ball back with all 3 of those timeouts left. So that wasn't a great way of paraphrasing his rationale there. But the point is, he was willing to sort of let you in on.
And he
his
talked
thought
through.
process.
Talked through it with us on Monday. Kind of what his decision making was on that 4th and 1 at the 15 with just under a minute left. And I mean, again, I feel like I would have done it the other way, just because my opinion is that in this day and age, and maybe Jacoby Brissett's not enough in this category, quarterbacks tend to drive you down for a field goal when they need one late. Like, if all the other team needs is a field goal, they're probably going to get it. Mm-hmm. Especially now with the ball coming out to the 30 on a kick.
Yeah.
They only need to go 30, 35 yards in order to be in scoring range. That's nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, and in a minute, they can do that no problem. And now it doesn't mean they're always going to get there, right? We saw, obviously, in this game that Brissett didn't. I was shocked hearing people say with 34 seconds left and 2 timeouts that Kirk Cousins had won the game. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
You don't think Jalen Hurts is capable of 35 yards in 35 seconds with 2 timeouts?
Yeah, with some of those weapons.
He threw a pick, obviously, and it ended up not going that way. But that game's not over.
Yeah.
And I'm always going to put my money on the offense to just get a field goal in that spot. So I would have gone for it. But whatever. Yeah. That's totally irrelevant. His discussion of here's the analytics and here's what I'm thinking and here's what goes into it. It was awesome. It was transparent. It was vulnerable. It was amazing. I loved it.
Yeah, and I think what we're learning with McDonald is he's not a guy who is ever going to try to tell everybody that he's got all the answers.
Not even close.
Yeah, he's really.
That's my job.
Yeah, that's a sports radio guy's job. Yeah, no, he and I think it's cool the sort of the process that he's talked about how they've got one of their analytics guys, Brian Ayers, who's in the booth and he's helping him out with.
I was going to ask you about that. Who is Brian Ayers?
Because
he mentioned him. He said Brian is in his ear, sort of telling him the numbers and what that means.
Yeah,
who's Brian Ayers?
He's an analytics guy who's been with the Seahawks, I think, since 2013. So he's been here a while, and he was obviously retained by McDonald, and he's the guy who works with McDonald on a lot of analytics stuff, and so he's in his ear. I don't think he's giving him a whole lot of like numbers in the moment, but he's sort of generally giving him an idea of
chart says go.
Yeah,
chart says
stuff
stay.
like that.
Chart says kick.
Yeah,
right.
And he's also McDonald's point person in the booth for replay situations. So he's looking at the replay.
Tater's not doing that anymore.
No, Tater.
That was always a surprise.
Yeah, exactly. So Tater's off doing that somewhere, I think maybe. But Brian Ayers is playing a guy who. Most people probably don't know his name, but he's playing a pretty significant role for the Seahawks.
When we were talking to McDonald on Monday, it's like, oh yeah, Brian, tell me in my ear, and I'm like, just for clarification, who's Brian? He's Brian Ayers. I was like, oh right, yeah,
Brian Ayers.
Brian Ayers, yeah. I just played it off like I knew exactly who that was, and I figured I'd ask you when you came in here on Friday. All right, Seahawks are hosting the Dolphins at Lumen, of course, on Sunday. You can catch that game right here on Seattle Sports or on the Seattle Sports app. You can find the Mariners-Rangers game though in its entirety on our sister station 770 KTTH. Or on the Seattle Sports app as well. 2 hours of Mariner pregame coverage starts at 9:30. First pitch will be at 11:35. That's on Sunday. So you can find that game on 770 KTTH. We'll give you guys everything you need to know. And then I do want to delve a little bit more deeply into what you were saying about this high standard. I think that's important. It's telling, and it's coming up on Brock and Salk with Brady Henderson.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
There was a new power ranking that came out for ESPN.
Weekdays 2 to 7.
Seahawks made a big jump. They were at 19 last week. They have moved up 9 spots to number 10. 10's pretty high. I mean, that's top 10 in the league, 32 teams, so I'll take it.
I think people are starting to come around to Geno. 72%, 75%, just his feet and his leadership and everything. I think he's setting up for a really good year.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Hey guys, Matt Coker here with West Coast Men's Health. Most guys don't realize that their ED started in their 40s. Symptoms of erectile dysfunction can be slight and subtle, but by treating your symptoms at the onset, you can avoid severe ED in the future. Mild ED is easily reversed at our clinic using our acoustic wave technology. Most men have accepted that ED is a part of getting older, but that's far from the truth. Our acoustic wave therapy has helped thousands of men restore function, whether they're in their 40s or their 80s. West Coast Men's Health also treats chronic pain, including neuropathy, plantar fasciitis, Dupuytren's contracture, and even carpal tunnel. So if this sounds like you, give West Coast Men's Health a call today and see how we can help.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call West Coast Men's Health at 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Did you know that most people wait 6 or 7 years before they buy a new TV? That's a lot of time in front of one TV. So why not get one of the best sets for the next 7 years, like one of the top-rated Samsung, LG, or Sony models? Too expensive? What if you could get up to $1,000 trade-in for your old set? Who would do a stupid deal like this? Right now, at Video Only, you can get big bucks for your old set as a trade-in and a hot price on the new models. Don't be sorry. Check out Video Only.
As fall and winter weather sets in, your lawn becomes a muddy mess, and your kids and pets bring the mud inside. But with Synthetic Turf Northwest, you can have a lush, green yard year-round. No mud, no mess. Their premium synthetic turf systems drain fast and stay clean, no matter how hard it rains. Right now, during the Fall Blitz, you can save up to $1,500 on a new synthetic lawn. So say goodbye to muddy paws and say hello to your dream lawn. Call Synthetic Turf Northwest today or visit syntheticturfnorthwest.com to get started.
Do you have a musty, damp, or wet basement? As the soil around your home becomes saturated, pressure pushes water through the tiniest of cracks and joints in your walls and floor. Moisture and water can not only damage your basement with mold and musty odors, it can also impact the health of your family. Matt Vey can install a custom-designed waterproofing system, transforming your basement into dry, healthy, usable space.
Do it the right way, the Matt Vey way. Rock built, rock solid.
It's better over here. If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has an exclusive rate plan just for you. Right now, get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings versus Verizon and AT&T. Plus, you can get one of the latest 5G phones free when you add a line. That's right, a free 5G phone. Experience all this and more on America's largest 5G network. So why wait? At T-Mobile, customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Just go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 or visit your local store to make the switch.
With AutoPay using debit or bank account plus taxes and fees, 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. Free phones up to $300 off with 24 monthly bill credits and qualifying new line for well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 device connection charge. Contact us before canceling your entire account to continue remaining bill credits. Bill credits end if you pay off device early. See details at T-Mobile.com.
Headed outdoors around the water this weekend? Check in with Joey and Nellie on the Outdoor Line from 6 to 8 a.m. every Saturday on SeattleSports.com.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Your new beginning starts now. D.R. Horton has new construction homes available throughout the greater Seattle area. With spacious floor plans, flexible living spaces, and home technology packages, you can enjoy more cozy moments and sweet memories in your beautiful new home. With new home communities opening throughout the Seattle area, D.R. Horton has the ideal home for you. Visit drhorton.com to learn more. D.R. Horton, America's builder. An equal housing opportunity builder.
Looking for fine jewelry this fall? Good news! Seattle's favorite jeweler for more than 40 years now has 2 locations in the area. Come visit us in our beautiful new store with the biggest selection at South Center Square in Tukwila. Create your own engagement ring with the widest range of diamonds and gemstones and discover unique, fine jewelry designed by our in-house team. No matter your budget, our friendly team is here to help guide you in finding that perfect piece that speaks to you. Visit ShaneCo.com to find your closest store and hours. We can't wait to see you. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Need to know. Brought to you by Ben's Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. up first.
Let's start with some good news. While the injury report was still very, very long and very, very busy yesterday, it was a whole lot better looking than the day before, because the only guys who were not able to practice at all because of injuries were Kenneth Walker and Chenna Nwosu. Everybody else was either doing a non-injury related rest day or had at least been able to practice some. So, Brady, I look at that and say they're actually going to get a whole lot healthier than it looked heading into this game.
Yeah, when we'll see if George Fant plays in this game. He was limited both days, so still seems like it may be a little bit up in the air, but the fact that he practiced Wednesday and Thursday, I think that's a good sign.
Same with Farrell Brown.
And same with Farrell Brown. Yeah, we'll see with him. Boye Mafe went from a non-participant on Wednesday to limited on Thursday. So, it's always tough. Remember, under Pete Carroll, it was always tough to really know what was happening between the Carroll updates on Wednesday and then the Carroll, final press conference on Friday, just because there's that in between where we don't get any updates other than what's on the injury report.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be even harder under Mike McDonald because he's giving us less on Wednesday than Carroll was. So
seems like maybe the Patriots and Seahawks beat themselves up a little bit in this game, or beat each other up. I mean, the Patriots get worked last night, and the Seahawks, their injury report definitely grew after a very physical game with New England and on the road and all of that. So it should be an interesting one. In listening to the guys yesterday, Ryan Grubb stood out. He's got to go against this defense that should in some way mirror what he's been seeing in practice for the last few months. He spoke to that.
Schematically, similar, very similar. I think there's, just like any coordinator that's come from any branch, or they're going to have their own flavor on stuff, right? They're going to have some types of change, and they're going to have how they see or interpret the defense or offense schematically, and they're going to put their sauce on it.
Yeah, there's a handful of teams running this defense. Obviously, Baltimore and Seattle are running that Mike McDonald defense, and then Miami with Anthony Weaver as their defensive coordinator, and then the Titans with Denard Wilson, who was another guy who came from Baltimore. So Seahawks have a lot of familiarity with this defense. Another team is the Chargers under Jesse Minter, who worked with Mike McDonald at Michigan, and so that's an interesting aspect, kind of subplot of this game offensively for the Seahawks, is they are facing pretty much the same defense that they faced the entire summer. Obviously,
but so are the Dolphins.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So they face this defense in practice, obviously every day. They faced them in the first preseason game against the Chargers, and then during the joint practices and that second preseason game against Tennessee. So they should be very familiar with each other defensively.
As I said, Jets blew out the Patriots last night. Rams and Niners play this weekend. So either LA goes to 0-3 or the Niners go to 1-2. One of those things will happen, and both are pretty, appetizing. Arizona will host Detroit, and then Seattle will actually play the Lions the following week.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
Mariners salvaged the finale at home against what appeared to be a pretty hungover Yankees team. They might have spent a little time celebrating their clinch the night before. Logan Gilbert finally rewarded for another tremendous outing. A really good day for Luke Raley with a play in the field and another hit. But somehow still kind of a mistake-filled, sloppy affair. Another base runner thrown out. This time it was Dylan Moore at third in the eighth inning. That's 3 base runners thrown out at third or home in 3 days. Not exactly what you're looking for. But the pitching is just awesome. And Logan Gilbert ends up getting his 200th strikeout of the season. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, it means a lot. I've seen Castillo do it, so that's kind of been motivation. And, the best in the game, I feel like, can get there. So that's something that it starts with throwing a lot of innings and then starts with being able to get strikeouts too. So ton of credit to Cal for helping me get there and knowing what to call. And besides that, just try to get to 2 strikes as much as possible. That's really the nature of it.
It's actually 3 years in a row, right, that the Mariners have had a 200 strikeout player. Robbie Ray in 22. It was Castillo last year, and now Logan Gilbert this year. Is pretty darn impressive. Twins lose again. Man, they're on a skid. So the Tigers are actually tied for the wild card after winning. Mariners realistically 3 back of both of those teams with 9 to play. So if you were to go 8-1 in those 9 games, you would need Detroit or Minnesota to go at best 5-4. Both of those teams would need to finish 5 or 4 or worse in order to make the playoffs at 8-1. And then the Astros won, so the division is now at 5 games. So things not looking great for the Mariners here in the final 9. They look great for Shohei Ohtani. What he did yesterday is just incredible. 6 for 6, 3 home runs, 10 runs driven in to become the first ever 50 home run, 50 steal player in Major League Baseball history. That's insane.
That's like what Mike Salk was doing on the playgrounds in the Boston area in the early 1990s.
Yeah. Trying to think of what I might have had 50 of. It certainly wasn't home runs. To do all of that, and by the way, when he's healthy, he's maybe the best pitcher in baseball, it's really kind of hard to fathom how incredible Shohei Ohtani is. And that he did all of that with the way this season started, with the news of the gambling and what had been stolen from. I mean, it's remarkable, his concentration and his athletic ability.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
I mean, over the course of a few days, maybe, when I was younger. Training camp underway for the Kraken. Couple of storylines to watch. Biggest one for me will be Shane Wright, who is likely to be with the club to start the year. They're going to give him a legit chance to show he belongs in the NHL. So whose line is he on? What does he look like against real men? Can he make this jump? Looked pretty good at the very end of last year when they gave him a shot. So I'm hoping he puts it together, because that's what this team needs. They need the guys, the homegrown guys, to turn into big-time players. And if that happens, obviously they'll be a lot better shape moving forward. The rankings sure don't seem to see it that way. They have them mostly in the mid-20s to start the year. They will have their first preseason game on Sunday night. That's everything you need to know. 1/4 every hour here on the Brock and Salk Show, and Brady Henderson's in.
Can I ask you a quick baseball question? I'm going to play the role of Brock Heward and just ask the out of left field questions.
Yeah, I like
here.
it.
Hangovers in baseball. How common do you think it is for guys to play with a hangover?
After they clinch, like they did the other night.
Either that or just in general. Yeah.
In general, it happens. I think it probably happens more with night games, though, than with day games. Right? I think generally, but it's happened. I mean, I've seen physically players come into a clubhouse and look like death. And I'm very familiar with the look and the smell and the whole deal. And sometimes they go out and go 4 for 4, and you're just like,
well, didn't David Wells supposedly pitch his perfect game with a raging hangover?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised by that. Yeah. But
well, and I believe he said it was for more than alcohol.
Oh, I believe that for sure. I think it is rare, though. I think only when they clinch. Right? Because baseball teams will celebrate everything along the way. You celebrate clinching the playoffs. You celebrate clinching the division. You celebrate, each series along the way with a full-fledged champagne, beer, the whole deal, just everywhere.
Are they keeping the party going, like late into the night, or is it just you pop a few bottles and then you get on with it?
I think they often keep that party going for quite some time, at least from what I've seen.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, any step you make in baseball is considered to be a big deal. So it's not like in football where it's like, oh, well, we got more to do with this. They don't treat it that way.
Interesting, even for the most accomplished franchise in MLB to really celebrate those. Yeah.
Anytime you make the playoffs, it is a big deal. And it is definitely celebrated accordingly. All right. Well, those are standards, right? You talk about standards, and the Yankees have theirs. Other teams have their own. And apparently Mike McDonald's got some standards that Brady's going to discuss next on Brock and Salk.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
After this weekend, 3 games in, Mike McDonald could be dealing with something that he probably thought he wouldn't be dealing with all the hype behind the Seattle Seahawks. For the national perspective, if they're 3-0, people are going to be like, oh my God, Hawks are contenders. Yeah. But we know they got to tweak some things.
I almost want, even though I would always root for an underdog, the Saints to lose, because if they drop anywhere close to 40 on the Eagles, they're going to be the story, and the Seahawks are going to be, hello? What about me?
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app.
911, what is your emergency?
There's a fire in my building. Please send help right away.
What is the address of the fire?
My address. It's, hold on. Oh, wait. The fire sprinkler just went off, and it's putting out the fire.
Good to hear. The fire department will still be dispatched as a precaution.
Fires are fast, but fire sprinklers are faster. Fire sprinklers get water on a fire immediately to protect you and your property. Install fire sprinklers in your home or business today. Brought to you by Puget Sound Area Fire Protection Contractors.
Hey, babe. Yeah, the bank password is moneybags, but a $ instead of the S.
Mr. Moneybags here is about to get his identity stolen.
Wait, what?
If he used 1Password, he can share logins, credit cards, and other important information with just his wife, not the whole store. Sir, your card's been declined.
Again?
Security is complicated. 1Password isn't. And right now, get a free 2-week trial at onepassword.com. That's 2 free weeks at onepassword.com.
Traffic backups are inconvenient, but if your pipes are backing up at home, that's bad. There's only one cure for this pesky problem: the experts at Beacon Plumbing, Heating, Septic, and Mechanical. Trust them to clear your clogs. Stop freaking and call Beacon. 1-800-FREAKIN.
Want to listen to Seattle sports on your smart speaker?
Hey, smart speaker, play Seattle sports.
This message is powered by the EQC Sportsbook at Emerald Queen Casino. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Be at T-Mobile Park for the final weekend of the regular season. The action gets started with Mariners Fan Appreciation Night, Friday, September 27th.
Back-to-back doubles, instant energy, and everybody on their feet here at T-Mobile Park.
The Mariners are squaring off against the A's at 7:10, and after the game, stick around for a special fireworks show presented by T-Mobile. Plus, you'll have the chance to win incredible prizes all night long, including Alaska Airlines flights, autographed jerseys, a first pitch in 2025, and more.
A high riser, riding back into the corner, gone! Julio!
Go to Mariners.com to get your tickets and check out everything else on deck at T-Mobile Park during our closing series against the A's, including Kids Appreciation Day, Sunday, September 29th, presented by Optum.
Strike three call, four-seam fastball, just seared the outside corner.
Mariners baseball. Trident's up.
Stacey Rost here. It's time to recognize a woman in our sports community with the 2024 Women of Inspiration Award. The nominations are in, and the Seattle chapter of WISE, which stands for Women in Sports and Events, needs your help selecting a winner. Voting is open now until September 20th at woiseattle.org. The winner will receive a generous cash donation from WISE and their partners for the cause of their choice. Help honor a local woman today. Vote by September 20th at woiseattle.org.
The Mike McDonald Show. The first word from the head coach after every Seahawks game.
We want to play a certain way, and you're just going to chisel away at it every day.
Presented by Emerald Queen Casino.
This is the day of the big sale at your gift shop.
Welcome in.
So this isn't just a big day for your business. It's a big day for the network keeping it all connected. That is, if it can handle the pressure.
Next in line, please.
So is it possible to get business internet you can really count on? It is. With 99.9% network reliability from Comcast Business. It's like this neat little bow.
Do you like that gift wrap?
Really ties it all together. Reliable internet for your business. It's not just possible, it's happening. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Switch to Comcast Business and get started with reliable internet and advanced security for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get up to a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying internet package. Don't wait. Call or go online to switch today. Offer ends 9/22/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabit per second internet. Eagle bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After 12 months, regular rates apply.
Roof now, pay later. Hi, I'm Sam Thomason, owner of State Roofing. Take advantage of our zero down, zero payments, and zero interest for up to a year. We've partnered with leading lenders to make the replacement or repair of your roof affordable. Flexible financing options are available to take the worry out of an unexpected expense. Call us today at 866-ROOF-ROOF to schedule a free no-obligation estimate or visit us at stateroofing.com. That's stateroofing.com.
State Roofing, the last roof you'll ever need.
This is Stacey Rost. Is that leaky faucet driving you crazy? Don't wait until it becomes a flood. Call Ben's Plumbing, Heating, and Air. At Ben's Plumbing, they pride themselves on 5-star service, where your satisfaction is their priority. Whether it's a stubborn clog or a complete plumbing overhaul, their team of dedicated professionals is here to help with no commission sales tactics. Just honest, reliable service you can count on. Call today at 206-789-5353 or visit Ben's.plumbing. That's Ben's.plumbing.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
180 rushing yards against the Seahawks, and Mike McDonald told us made him sick.
to his stomach.
Sick to his stomach. Who can blame him? That's Brady Henderson, who's in for Brock today. And I should tell you guys, I just want to apologize quickly. If you were excited, as I was, to hear from Daniel Jeremiah at 8:30, DJ had to cancel today. So unfortunately, he had a little family thing come up, texted me early this morning, and we obviously said go deal with that. So no Daniel Jeremiah today. I'm sorry, Brady. I know you were looking forward to talking to him.
I
was as well. So you're also going to fill in not only for Brock, but for DJ today. And
I'm just putting the show on my back like Gino put the team on his back on Sunday in
like
Foxborough.
Atlas holding up the world.
Yeah.
It's super impressive what you're going to do today. And you're even going to do Blue 88 coming up here in 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It's quite frankly amazing. You must not be playing golf today. There's no way you would have the energy for all of that and a round of golf.
Nope. Taking my mom to the airport and then going to work.
All right. See, there you go. I could tell. I could feel that in you. 180 rushing yards made McDonald sick to his stomach. That's pretty strong wording, especially coming off of a win.
It is, yeah. And we heard, I think, kind of Tyrell Dotson took a similar he didn't use the same wording, but just kind of had a similar vibe to his comments. I mean, remember, he's the one who made that play on 3rd and 1 in overtime.
I got that. Here's Tyrell Dodson asked about their defense.
Yeah, I'm not happy about last week, to be honest with you. The run game, I mean, that's how you make your bread and butter in the NFL. Making that offense one-dimensional, and you got to do that by stopping the run. We're making good progress, but the progress still has to be the number one thing, which is no one runs on us. That's the most disrespectful thing, in my opinion, is an offense running the ball on you. So we got to get that fixed, and it starts with me. I got to up my game in the run defense, so I'm ready to do that this week.
Yeah, he's saying that he has to play better. And remember, this is the guy who made the key play on 3rd and 1 in overtime, where he gets the stop of Ramondre Stevenson, gets the ball back to the Seahawks to set up that game-winning Geno Smith drive. And so, it could have been easy for him to stand up there and bask in that play, that game-saving play. But he's telling everybody that, he's got to play better. And I hear that, and I hear what Mike McDonald said, and I hear everything I've heard over the last few months about how accountable Mike McDonald is holding his players and the way he's going about doing that by very much being a guy who will get on players. And there's stuff that we see, in practice. We don't see it anymore because we're not there, for practice. We only watch stretching, and he's not lighting anybody up during stretch. So
not yet.
Yeah, but we did see that on the field. He really gets on guys and I think behind the scenes as well. I'll let you in on a little story. So before players can practice in training camp, they've got to pass the conditioning test, right? And I think it varies by team and it varies by position. So it's a series of back and forth sprints.
So a guard doesn't have to run the sprints as fast as a defensive back.
Right. And you're running different distances, and there's different time frames that you have to complete the test in.
Sure.
So Baltimore is known for having this just notoriously hard test. And I believe that McDonald, brought, I don't know if it's the exact same version, but from what I understand, it's brutal. It's really hard. And so probably wouldn't have been a surprise that a handful of young players failed that test, just given how hard it is. But it was not, Mike McDonald did not think that was acceptable. And he lit up these guys individually, called them out in front of the entire team to basically send a message that, hey, there's a standard here. And when you show up out of shape like that you're letting your team down. And so I'm not comparing this to how it would have been handled under the previous regime. I'm just saying that.
Well, probably not like that.
Probably not like that. Yeah. But I think that is just indicative of there's a very different way that he is going about coaching this team. And yeah, I mean, I guess I will compare it because, Pete Carroll would never light up players like that. And I think that he would have his
behind the scenes.
I don't think he would do that. No, I think
because obviously we know he wouldn't do it in front of the media. I mean, in public, Pete was praise, right. No matter what. Even when players were taking personal shots at him,
right.
He would say, well, I guess fine. He's a good kid.
No, there were enforcers that he had on his staff. I think Tom Cable, in the early days was that. Ken Norton Jr. was that. There's some other guys there. So I think if it ever got to a situation where that had to be handled, I think he would have one of the the enforcers on his staff do it. But that was just never Carroll's style. And so I think it highlights kind of the difference in how two coaches are going about, holding players accountable. And I just think that from what I've heard, I kind of think that things, slipped a little bit the last few years, and players would get away with a little bit more than maybe they should have, and certainly a lot more than they're getting away with now under
those cigars after the win, or after the not making the playoffs in the final week of the season last year seemed to sort of announce some of that very publicly, right? Of like, yeah, we're not listening to anybody, we're not paying attention to anything. This culture's maybe gotten out of control a little bit, and we said that at the time. I mean, it was like, you can't do that. You can't have cigars following. And even then, Pete was like, he covered for them. Like, that's what Pete did publicly. That and funny, because I was just talking about covering for guys publicly doesn't necessarily indicate what you're doing privately. McDonald's fascinating. I wrote about him this week, seattlesports.com, and some of the things that I've really been impressed with, not his scheme stuff. That's sort of separate, and I'm not going to pretend like I truly understand that to the great detail others do. Obviously, he's doing a good job with scheming the defense. His open-mindedness, his lack of ego, his transparency, his vulnerability to say, oh, yeah, I don't know offense as well as Grubb, so he just doesn't. His trust in a guy that he barely knows, Ryan Grubb, to say, yeah, no, I don't know enough about it. He does. And in a big moment, I'm going to trust that this guy is taking care of his business because I know I've got to take care of mine. Incredibly impressive. But the next part of this, though, is when I think of quarterbacks on a spectrum, or coaches rather on a spectrum, I tend to think of Pete all the way on one side and Bill Belichick all the way on the other, at least in the modern game. Obviously, if you want to go back to Tom Landry and, even Parcells, like, you could probably get farther away than Belichick on the being hard on you standard.
Yeah.
But in the modern game, Belichick and Carroll are sort of the like polar opposites, and everybody else kind of falls in between. And I can't help. I mean, also having been around those two guys more than any other coach in my life, I can't help but make comparisons to both of them. And it's amazing how many times McDonald reminds me of each of them. And that's without me really knowing much about John Harbaugh, who I'm sure he probably ends up sounding and acting like more than anybody else. But there are times he sounds a lot like Belichick. I mean, almost kind of talks like him, right? Sort of has that same, like, I mean, he's not quite as gruff, but some of his answers are very Belichick-like.
And the willingness to live in the awkwardness of, like, giving somebody a short response to an answer where they were probably looking for a lot more.
His speaking style is one half John Schneider, one half Bill Belichick. And if you were to combine those two guys together from a speaking style, you would absolutely get Mike
the
McDonald.
Cadence and the,
Yes.
Yeah.
He sort of has the same, like, kind of like, I'm not going to tell you that Bill does, but also the, like, don't go there, brother, from Schneider, or sort of laughing about, what was he say he was watching? The what's the show about the king, the last king of England?
Kingdom?
Last Kingdom. Yeah. I mean, like, there's just that I don't know.
So what about, you said that there's parts of him that remind you of Pete.
Yeah, and I guess to me, some of that is the open-mindedness to try to think from a player's perspective. What doesn't remind me of anybody is his just desire to ask questions and learn. And that to me is so rare for head coaches in any sport.
Yeah, I imagine, I've never been in any sort of leadership position like that, but I imagine that there would be a temptation when all of a sudden you're in charge of, 53 guys on a team to really project this idea that you have all the answers.
Hold on, not just 53 guys, 53 players, and how many more coaches, and how many more people in the building? There have to be 150, 200 people on a daily basis looking at him to make sure he knows the answers.
Right. And to resist that temptation to project this idea that you know everything, I think that is interesting to me. And he really has not, there's never been, I should say that there have been several indications and instances where it seems like he's very comfortable, admitting that that's something I don't know. And look, as a head coach, there's some things where you're just not really gonna, when you're a defensive guy, you're not going to have all the answers on offense. And I think it's been interesting to hear him just be upfront about that and to defer to other people's wisdom and experience the way that he has. Again, I just don't know if every person in that position as a first-time head coach, knowing that everybody's looking to you to have all the answers, I don't know if everybody would do that.
And at 36?
37, yeah.
I mean, that's okay, fine, 37. Sorry, he's really aging on us here. He's up to 37. At 37, in some ways, almost more impressive. Because I think I agree with everything you just said about the temptation to sort of act like almost fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Right? In order to and you do have to present some level of confidence. You can't be meek. You can't be indecisive.
Right.
You can't not know what you're doing. You have to project some level of confidence and knowledge. And he does all that. And maybe it's easy when you're a pretty smart dude and people tend to recognize that about him and say that about him. And that reputation precedes him. But his ability to not take that part too heavy-handedly and instead, as you just said, ask questions and not go down that road as one of the youngest coaches in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And especially since the guy before him was the oldest coach in the NFL and had been here forever and had done really well.
Yeah. The other thing I think that really makes his style, I mean, well, I say I make it work. Who knows? It's 2 games into it. We'll see. I think the other thing that's really going to give it a chance to work is that, when you are really hard on players and you're holding them accountable, I think that only works if you're holding yourself accountable, because players, if you're just, coming down on them all the time, and if you don't do that to yourself, I think that's when resentment grows. But what did you hear him say on your show? He's talking about the run defense. He said it makes him sick to his stomach, but he also said that he was as much to blame as anybody because of some game plan stuff, maybe some preparation stuff that put those guys in tough spots. So I don't think you can hold players accountable unless you're doing that to yourself in the first place.
Yeah, you got to have enough. Yes, absolutely. And you've got to be good enough at what you're doing so that you're not just, throwing blame. Holding people accountable and responsible is one thing. Throwing around blame, I think, is where it tends to get ugly for a lot of coaches. So I got to tell you, 2 weeks in now, almost 3 weeks into the Mike Macdonald era, I'm pretty blown away. I'm really impressed. I really am. And it's not to say that we haven't seen him deal with tough spots yet. He hasn't lost a game yet. Right. There's a million things in front of him that will end up defining who he is as a head coach. I'm not telling you he's the perfect coach or anything like that. But based on what we've seen so far, I don't know how much I would want him to do differently. I'm blown away by what he does on the field, blown away by what he's done and said off the field and how he's managed a difficult spot. Okay, have I disagreed with a couple? Sure, okay, but that's not being a good or bad head coach. He's been unbelievable. I'm shocked at how good he's been.
Yeah, and it's, you mentioned how it's only 2 games in. Schedule's about to get a whole lot tougher. I don't know if that's going to happen this week, but next week, Monday night, Jared Goff and the Lions, you finally face a team with, a top, half of the league, you want to call it, quarterback, with a lot of offensive weapons, a good team playing at home in a tough environment. And then it's Josh Allen, and then it's...
it gets harder.
Yeah, you get Daniel Jones in there, but Matt Stafford...
But, I mean, look, the beginning of this script couldn't have been written any better for him.
Right.
Getting to face, in order, Bo Nix, Jacoby Brissett, and Skylar Thompson, and then in the, after 1 week of Detroit, then Daniel Jones, I don't know how much better you could possibly ask this to start for Mike Macdonald and his head coaching tenure. So pretty cool. Brady's in. Time for a little Blue 88.
This is Brock and Salk's Blue 88.
Blue 88! Blue 88!
We take you to the field as Brock Heward breaks down 3 football questions as only he can.
Now here's your hosts, Brock Heward and Mike Salk.
All right, Brady, I know that Christian Haynes was on last night on Hawks Live. We're going to see more, and heard Mike Macdonald say that maybe he didn't get enough reps in the New England game. Are we about ready to start seeing more of Christian Haynes at right guard?
I don't know if it's going to be more. I think they're going to continue to work him in, just because I think they've got to figure out who their best player at that spot is. And Mike Macdonald made it clear that it's really not sustainable, at least in his view. I know you've had thoughts about this, and you've wondered about the idea of rotating guys as kind of a planned thing. Offensive linemen. I think they see it like most teams do, which is that you really want to have your 5 guys so that they can, grow, and their continuity can grow, and they can figure out how one guy's going to do one thing, just because continuity is so important. So ultimately, they're going to want to settle on a guy, but they are going to continue to work Christian Haynes in there. And the thing we heard from Macdonald was that the mentality is where it needs to be, and the effort and all that, but just some of the technique stuff is he's still working through that. And so look, Anthony Bradford has started both those games. He's taken the vast majority of the snaps. I think he's had 4 penalties. And I think the good with Anthony Bradford is pretty good. It's just the consistency is not there. And yet, despite the inconsistency, despite the penalty issue, the fact that they're still starting him, I think that tells me that they still view it to be a pretty sizable gap between him and the 3rd-round pick, Christian Haynes.
I wonder whether there's anything at left guard, too. I mean, Laken Tomlinson hasn't exactly lit the world on fire.
He has not, no. But, I mean, I think they're in kind of a tough spot there because Christian Haynes has played only right guard, throughout his college career, 48 career starts at right guard. So I don't know. I mean, if he's already behind Bradford at right guard, then I don't think it's asking a lot to then all of a sudden try to plug him in at a left guard spot that he's never really played at.
All right, question number 2. Generally, I think when people think of going up against this Miami offense, it's the passing game and obviously the weaponry on the outside with Hill and Waddle and kind of what they can do. But no Tua in this game, of course. What about that Miami running game? Because they've had they're not just a passing attack. What has it looked at like shutting down this running game, especially after the 180 yards last week?
Yeah, it's going to be another challenge for the Seahawks run defense, but it's going to be a different challenge. And when you look at the way New England attacks defenses, I should say, in the run game, it's more of a downhill, sort of up the middle type of running style. Ramondre Stevenson is a big, powerful back. We did see him get out on the edge a couple times, but that's really more of a, Mike McDonald calls it kind of a hat-on-hat type of blocking scheme where it's basically pretty straightforward in terms of you know that this guy's going to be blocking that guy on a given play, and it's going to be a pretty downhill run game. Miami, on the other hand, really tries to attack defenses on the perimeter, and there's a lot of intricate blocking stuff. He talked about there's they feign blocks and really try to make it with misdirection, and they really try to keep defenses guessing as to who's going to be blocking who. So probably more of a complex running scheme, but it really puts a lot of stress on the edge defenders, and it's a lot of outside stuff that it really attacks defenses on the perimeter. And so it's going to be a different challenge, and I think it's going to be a big challenge this week for the Seahawks, knowing that probably not going to have Uchenna Nwosu. They're easily their best edge defender. He didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday. It seems like it's going to be at least another week for him. And then Boye Mafe has got the knee injury. Again, it seems like he's going to play just based on the fact that he practiced yesterday. He was limited. But he's coming off at least an injury, and so this team's edge defenders are going to get tested in a way that I don't know that they
More
did.
Dre Jones on the edge this week?
Well, he's been doing that. Yeah. I mean, he's really been. They're kind of using him as more of a big outside linebacker, and we heard that he dropped weight. I think he's down to like something around 270. I think that the whole idea there was that he was going to play more on the edge this season. Last season, he was very much a defensive tackle for the first half, and then he was very much he played on the edge in the second half after they lost Nwosu. And so I think that's going to be more what you see him do this year, and they're going to need him to come up big in this game because, again, that's how Miami's run game is going to attack Seattle.
Well, and Derek Hall will be another one. He's flashed a little bit in 2 games. Can he do that consistently in a big spot against Miami? Question number 3. Give me an unheralded player. Give me somebody who's played better or done more or the team has been happy with that maybe we haven't talked nearly enough about.
Yeah, well, at least in that game against New England, that guy was Stone Forsythe. And, he obviously played a lot of football for them last year when Abe Lucas went down, and it was tough for him. And I think it's tough for any guy who's 6'7", 6'8". Leverage is always going to be an issue, and he was up and down last year. But he had a good game in this game against New England. I know just from talking to somebody in the building, they were pretty impressed with how he played. And the numbers, I'll give you the pass block win rate numbers. Now, granted, these numbers are best viewed in over the course of several games as opposed to just one game. But he was, let me see, I had it pulled up here. He was 30th. Of 60, he was 32nd among 60 qualifying offensive tackles in week 2 in terms of pass block win rate. So when you consider that he's really their third option, right, at right tackle, obviously Abe Lucas is the
making
first
him
one.
their 4th option at tackle.
Right, he's their maybe their 4th best tackle. When you're even middle of the pack like he was in terms of pass block win rate, that's pretty good. And look, they're going to continue to need him. I don't know if George Fant is going to be back this week. Again, he did practice Wednesday and Thursday as limited, so that would seem to give him a chance. But I still think it's going to be a bit for Abe Lucas, just based on what I'm hearing. I think that's probably going to be closer to mid-season. until they get him back. And so they're going to need to rely on Fant and maybe even Stone Forsythe at least for another
maybe
few weeks.
Forsythe playing well enough gives you the opportunity to let George rest another week, which would probably be pretty helpful on that big body. That's today's Blue 88. That answer surprised me a little bit because I saw you wrote something this week, and I was surprised when I read it. I'm not going to call you out, but I was surprised when I read it. Seahawks, number 10 in the ESPN power rankings, and since you were an ESPN writer, you were asked for their most important backup/role player. And you said Zach Charbonnet.
Zach Charbonnet.
Yeah. Why not Stone Forsythe? I thought when I read that, I was like, oh, Brady's going to go with either Stone Forsythe or maybe even Christian Haynes, who might get some more playing time. I was surprised you went with Charbonnet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I could have gone with Forsythe. I mean, you tend to
a little
go
bit more of a big name.
Yeah, well, you just, do people want to read about the running backs or do they want to read about the offensive linemen? There's obviously the fantasy, relevance of Charbonnet over Forsythe.
So you're selling out to the man.
No, I think the other thing there is that, again, George Fant, it looks like he might come back this week. And so I don't know if in this context, if Forsythe is as important to the team as Charbonnet will be, just because I think it's going to be another week before we see Ken Walker back out there.
10 seem about right to you? Seem a little hot?
These power rankings are tough just because it's 2 weeks in,
right.
I admittedly don't have a great grasp of how good
Do they feel like
other
the 10th best team in football?
They did make a big jump in these power. I mean, they were 19 last week.
That's a pretty big jump.
I was surprised that they jumped up 9 spots after a win over a New England team that, is not considered like a great powerhouse team. But, yeah, I think they look to me like they're, at the very least, a top half team.
All right. Well, we will go around the NFL here in a little over a half hour. I've got a couple other questions for you. I actually have a big picture NFL question for you that I want to ask you, and it definitely relates back to the Seahawks. We'll do that next. Brady Henderson's in. It's a Football Friday powered by the Snoqualmie Casino Sportsbook here on Seattle Sports on 710 seattlesports.com.
2-0.
The Seahawks win the game in overtime against the Patriots.
The Hawks look to remain undefeated as they host Tyreek Hill and the Miami Dolphins.
Gino's going to let it fly. DK's wide open. 10, 5, strides in, touchdown, Seahawks.
This Sunday, Hawks, Dolphins, Kickoff 105, pregame starting at 10 on your home for the Hawks, Seattle Sports.
Holy cactus!
If your home's heating system is 10 years or older, it needs a tune-up. Your furnace and heat pump work extremely hard, and after 10 years, wear and tear can cause a failure. The last thing you want this winter. Deere Services is now offering a heating system tune-up with a no-breakdown guarantee and no service fees for just $49. A thorough inspection and recalibration for just $49. Visit DEARservices.net. Make an appointment, and we'll be there within 3 hours. Deere Services, Seattle Seahawks, small business partners.
I grew up in a very angry time.
A night of comedy at Emerald Queen Casino Event Center.
You were afraid of your dad.
Friday, October 4th. Hold on tight. It's Bill Burr.
I love seeing kids nowadays loving their dad.
Tickets at emeraldqueen.com.
When I was a kid, I was like, Dad, run! Run!
Don't miss Bill Burr, October 4th at the Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest. 21 and older, need gambling help? Call 800-547-6133 or visit emeraldqueen.com.
If you haven't heard yet, Toyota's Camry called an audible with the brand new hybrid 2025 Camry. And at Toyota of Kirkland, they're excited to put it in play. Backed by the lifetime powertrain warranty, the incredible team at Toyota of Kirkland will set up your test drive so you can take home that 2025 hybrid Camry the same day. Come check it out at the amazing showroom at Toyota of Kirkland or visit online at toyotaofkirkland.com.
Are you constantly dealing with a runny nose, congestion, or sinus drip? Always having to clear your throat or coughing? Hey, it's Dr. Ryan Stern of the Stern Sinus Center. Ryan Air is a simple, non-invasive procedure that significantly reduces your postnasal drip and stuffiness. A recent clinical study shows almost 9 out of 10 Ryan Air patients get significant improvement in their breathing and runny nose. We're proud this year the Stern Sinus Center was just named a nationwide center of excellence. Schedule your appointment in Auburn or Federal Way or go to sternsinus.com.
This might be the most surprising statistic I've shared in decades of doing local news. More than 75% of commuters will be involved in a car accident at some point. JP Pendergast of Pendergast Law with more.
What makes it more surprising? The average person will be involved in 3 to 4 collisions in their lifetime.
With accidents unbelievably prevalent, what are some safety tips if it happens to you?
Safety first. Secondary collisions are not uncommon while awaiting help. Turn on those hazards and remain in a safe place. If a bystander witnessed the accident, capture their information and encourage them to remain at the scene. Seek medical attention immediately if needed, as delaying can be a costly mistake. Lastly, remember that statements made to police and insurance adjusters can affect your case.
Collisions are more common than we'd like to think. If you find yourself in one, follow these helpful tips and then call my friends at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one's injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
PendergastLaw.com.
At 65 years old, Brian has a rather demanding hobby.
My biggest passion is snow skiing, and I ski between 70 and 80 days per year. And I ski instruct at a private resort in Montana.
Needless to say, that can be a bit tough on the joints.
When this knee started to bother me, I thought I'm doomed.
That's when Brian decided to see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine for stem cell therapy.
If I did yard work or skied a few days in a row, I was fighting swelling and pain and no sleep and all sorts of problems, and that has absolutely gone away.
So are you back on the slopes?
I mean, I had a 14-day stretch with clients where I skied every day and I had no problem. It was fine. It was just like, I felt like new.
So I'm guessing you would recommend this to others.
Oh, I already have. I've told everyone that'll listen.
Whether it's a shoulder, hip, or knee, before you choose surgery, consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Schedule your consultation at drmarkwagnermd.com.
It's really, truly a miracle.
Hey, pet parents. With Progressive's collision coverage, you get extra protection for your cat or dog, because there's nothing worse than seeing your pet hurt. Like when you see their face after accidentally stepping on their tail, and you say, "I'm so sorry, Mr. Pickles." But as you kiss his nose and rub his little belly welly, you know Mr. Pickles is thinking, "You betrayed me." Anywho, Progressive pays up to $1,000 in vet bills if your pet is injured in an auto accident. Learn more at Progressive.com and watch where you step. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Collision coverage subject to policy terms. Not available in all states.
Ooh, ma. What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud phone system. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very...
Calm, I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
Let's go!
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
This hour is brought to you by Amazon Hub Delivery.
Give me a freaking auto!
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
Brock Heward and Matt Marcus. Sorry about just
Mike. Presented by Simply Seattle.
Heward, not exactly Joe Cap there in the pocket.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Heward and Mike Saul.
Man, I got so much good sound, Brady. There's a lot of good sound today. You want to hear some of it?
Yeah.
I have Brady Henderson in for Brock. He gets ready for the Oklahoma State-Utah game this weekend, which means he's hanging out with his daughter, Macy, who goes to Oklahoma State. He's on their basketball team. So they've been hanging out, I'm sure, late into the night last night.
Do you think he's crossed paths with Mike Gundy? I'm sure he
has. Yeah, many times.
I bet he's got some Mike Gundy
probably
stories.
was talking to him today or yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm a man, I'm 40. People like the I'm a man, I'm 40 rant. I think it's good, but I always maintain that the Dan Hawkins, it's the Big 12, is a much better rant.
Yeah. I mean, they're both classics.
I think the I'm a man, or the it's the Big 12 is underrated.
It's the Big 12, brother.
It's Division I football. Like, there's something about that one that always gets me.
The Denny Green one, you want to crown him.
See, I think that one's overrated.
You think so?
I think that's the most overrated of the popular rants.
We let him off the hook?
Yeah, that one's kind of overrated. I love You Play to Win the Game. That one is underrated, maybe. It's tremendous.
Hello.
Plus, I love Herm. Herm's such a fun
Didn't
dude.
win a whole lot of games, though.
Herm? That wasn't necessarily
He didn't
his
win a lot at
specialty.
ASU either.
Hello? You play to win the game.
Yes. What's up? What's up, Herm? I feel you. More, do you have the Joey Bosa cut?
Sure.
Yeah, play me this. So before I ask you this question, play me. Let me hear a little Joey Bosa talking about my friend Jim Harbaugh.
Okay, he's with Chris Long on the Greenlight podcast.
Been to his RV yet?
I haven't even heard of the mobile home.
What, dude? Bro, he was living in a damn RV all summer.
Yeah, that's right in line with everything else he's done so far, so I believe it. I don't know why this is relatable, but now he's been hitting the cold tub and he just gets in full outfit.
No!
Shirt still tucked in.
No!
And he's just sitting there. Just sitting there. He's like, hey.
No, does he, Joe, does he have khakis in the damn cold tub?
Belt, khakis. I'm sorry, coach.
That's insane. That's maniacal. I love it.
Yeah, what's the thought process behind?
I don't think Jim thinks that way. I don't think there's a lot, I don't know that there's always logic to those things. I think it's just like,
How aware do you think he is of how weird he is?
That's a really good question. Like, he's almost got like a Liver King vibe to him, right? Where it's just like, not that his ideas are necessarily as outlandish as the Liver King.
Well, the Liver King was a huge fraud.
Right. As I said, I'm not saying he's a huge fraud.
Okay.
But there's an element of sort of Liver Kingness to what Jim Harbaugh does. I don't know.
You think it's an act?
No.
Some of it's an act?
No, but I think he doesn't mind some of the... I think he likes it as almost a distraction tactic. Like, okay, I'm going to keep everybody talking about the weirdness while I'm secretly doing something else. Does that make sense?
Filming people's signals?
Well, maybe, yeah. I mean, but are just like...
The respect that I have for chickens. I know there was a time when I said that chicken is a nervous bird, and I don't eat chicken, I don't eat meat, but I was dead wrong. I stand corrected. These chickens are low maintenance and high production.
Is he all of a sudden raising chickens?
I don't know where that came from. But yeah, I think like a lot of coaches like that, they obviously have a weird bit to them. Mike Leach is in the same category, right? Like their mind works a little differently. But I'm not saying they exaggerate it. I'm just saying I think they kind of don't mind people talking about that, so that they can kind of operate a little bit more free of not criticism, but maybe just investigate. I'm trying to think what the right word is.
Sure. As you're saying that, I'm trying to picture Mike McDonald and Jim Harbaugh having a conversation.
It's like very awkward.
On one level, I'm sure they are very tight because they're both, all ball, like guys who just absolutely love football. And that's as weird as Harbaugh is. He is all football, and he talks about how much he loves it. And so I'm sure they connected a lot on that level, but just like, I don't know, Harbaugh is wacky, and whereas McDonald seems a lot more, just kind of straight laced and no nonsense. Not to say he doesn't have a personality, and we've heard, players say that, he sort of cracks jokes and there's some like awkward funniness there. But it's just, they just seem to be very different in that regard. Like,
But hopefully those things work out well. I mean, like I was thinking about what you said just in the last hour about Pete sort of knowing which lieutenants he needed in order to, sort of crack skulls when necessary. And that is important. And look, Jim Harbaugh to me, maybe he's crazy, but he's kind of crazy like a fox. I guess that's kind of what I'm saying. Like,
yeah,
I think
it's calculated.
Yeah, it's calculated. And I think that's why I think he's more of that than Mike Leach was. Right? Like, and I think that's why he's had more success. That's why he's won championships. That's why he's been as successful as he's been in the NFL. I think he's a little crazy like a fox.
Do you think it was more of just an impulse with Leach?
Yes.
And
a little bit more impulsive.
Yeah.
I think some of it is a little, not an act, just a little exaggerated, just a little bit more than, like, I don't think he minded it.
Yeah.
But, I think Leach...
Maybe when you're trying to take the focus off of something else,
right?
Like, quarterback's hurt right now. Justin Herbert is going through something, so I could see that as a way to
talk about what a weirdo I am.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather have you talk about how I'm getting into the cold tub fully clothed with my khakis on and my shoes and whatever else than talk about the fact that is Justin Herbert going to start? Is he not? Is this? Is that? Keep you kind of, I don't know, maybe just focused on a little misdirection play. I guess is
Sure.
is how I would say it. There are some politicians who do that, who would prefer that you talk about whatever the craziest thing is of the day rather than other things going on. Like it's not a new idea to try the misdirection and keep people talking about the wrong things when maybe you've got something else that you would like them to talk about. Speaking of, let me just remind everybody, Seahawks host the Dolphins at Lumen Field this Sunday. You can watch that game here on Seattle Sports, or you can listen to the game here on Seattle Sports or on the Seattle Sports app. You can also find the Mariners-Rangers game in its entirety on our sister station, 770 KTTH, or on the Seattle Sports app. 2 hours of Mariner pregame coverage starts at 9:30. First pitch will be 11:35 on Sunday. And then, of course, the Dolphins game will be here on Seattle Sports. Dolphins come in. Sorry you didn't get to go to Miami this summer.
I missed out. Well, I actually was in Miami in February, so I think I've seen enough of Miami. Yeah, but the one time the Seahawks went there to play a game, that was in, I think, 2020. That was the year that we weren't traveling for away games because of COVID. So I
you've
did
never
miss
been
out
to the old Joe Robbie or whatever they're calling it now.
I have not. No, what is it called?
Blockbuster?
Wasn't it Pro Player Stadium at one point?
It's been a lot of different things.
It's Hard Rock Stadium now.
Oh, it's Hard Rock now?
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds a little bit more not legit.
Yeah.
Not at all. I miss Joe Robbie. That was fun. Orange Bowl, really, back in the day. That was when I was a kid. Dan Marino playing at the Orange Bowl. Think the Dolphins are good?
I don't know, man. Go back to that Thursday night game, right? So Tua, it wasn't like he got hurt early in that game. He got hurt, I think, in the third quarter, and they were not good in that game. And you saw even with Tua in there struggling to find open receivers. There's miscommunication with some of his receivers that led to an interception. And yeah, that offense did not look good. I mean, they scored 10 points in that game. And look, you think, okay, well, they got a backup quarterback in there. Skylar Thompson played the last quarter and a half. So it wasn't like he was playing that entire game.
And by the way, the Bills ran down their throat.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, for all the conversation, and maybe I'll ask you about this at 8:30, for all of the conversation about, Miami's offense versus Seattle's defense, which is probably where you assume this game is going to be kind of won and lost. What I always think about the other matchup. Like that's the premier matchup, right? McDonald versus McDaniel and the Dolphins offense, Seahawks defense. But sometimes it's the other combo that ends up affecting a game more. And what does the Seahawks offense do against that Miami defense? We'll discuss in 20 after Need to Know next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
He is Mark Schlereth.
First off, I'm not apologizing for beating NFL teams. Like, every team has a ton of talent on their rosters. New England's a physical team. They can run the ball. They'll beat you up. They play some bully ball. They're pretty stout. The Seahawks didn't run the ball for 2 inches against them. And Geno Smith, he was really good, right? They had some big plays. Like, that's a big physical football team. So don't apologize for beating the New England Patriots in overtime.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
You're free now. Free to fill your feed with impossibly chunky chunkers who chunk harder than you ever thought possible.
Cats, corgis, babies, baby penguins, baby pandas, chunky baby pandas.
Free to make your smart devices do silly things. Free to open a world of remote work and a portal into Gametopia.
Who's the boss now?
Free to be everything you imagine, and then some. That's how it feels to have Quantum Fiber Internet. Quantum Fiber, your world unleashed. Learn more at quantumfiber.com. Limited availability, service in select locations only.
Choose the right flooring for your home, right in your home, with Floor Coverings International. They bring the mobile showroom to you, loaded with samples of carpet, LVP, hardwood, laminate, tile, and more, so you can see the flooring in your light, not just in a store or on a screen. They handle every aspect of installation, ensuring your complete satisfaction. Visit FCIFloors.com and book a free in-home consultation. Floor Coverings International, the stars of flooring.
O'Brien Auto Group has some of the best new car brands in the Northwest. Those great new vehicles make the best pre-owned vehicles as well. O'BrienAutoGroup.com for the best factory certified vehicles. O'BrienAutoGroup.com for a large selection of the best pre-owned cars and trucks. O'BrienAutoGroup.com. Choose from hundreds of SUVs, trucks, hybrids, EVs, and more. O'BrienAutoGroup.com. One site is all you need. That's OBRIEN Autogroup.com.
O'Brien. Simply Seattle, presenting sponsor of the Brock and Salk Show, is your one-stop shop for all things Seattle sports. Our Hawks are 2-0 with a big home game this weekend. Shop the best Hawks gear in town at Simply Seattle. Hoodies, tees, jackets, and hats. Throwbacks and what you see on the sidelines, Simply Seattle has it all. For a timeless look, explore their Immortal Series collection. Just use code SeattleSports15 for 15% off every order. SimplySeattle.com.
Does your snoring keep others awake at night? Choking or gasping can be even worse. Hi, I'm Dr. Nick Kugler with the Washington Center for Sleep. Snoring is often a sign that something is wrong. Don't ignore it. We can help fix it. We specialize in treating snoring and sleep apnea so that you can get better sleep, giving you more energy and a more fulfilling, healthy life. Visit us in Seattle, Bellevue, or at wasleep.com. That's wasleep.com. Sleep better, feel better. That's the Washington Center for Sleep way.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy 2. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
Tommy! I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Seahawks Player Spotlight.
Man, it felt good to go out there and be able to contribute.
Exclusive interviews with your favorite Seahawks.
You know, we got a genius as the head coach.
Every day with Wyman and Bob.
Hey, Brock Heward here, along with IRG Physical and Hand Therapy President and CEO, Shannon O'Kelly. Now, Shannon, I need to ask you if what I've been hearing is true. You don't need a referral, really, to see a physical therapist in the state of Washington?
That's exactly right, Brock. The state of Washington is a state that has what's called direct access. That means that if you get up in the morning, for example, and you hurt your back or did something to your muscles or tendons or joints, you can call a physical therapist directly, and we can get you in that same day and start your care and your recovery process.
How can patients get scheduled with IRG?
Oh, it's easy. You just contact us at irgpt.com. We'll direct you to our concierge service, and we'll take care of all that for you. We handle all the authorization, verification. We want our patients to understand their insurance benefits and what the outcomes are going to be with their visit to IRG Physical and Hand Therapy.
Please, please, please don't let injuries keep you from your passion. Schedule online today at irgpt.com and start the journey back to your best self.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential. But finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Need to know. Brought to you by Ben's Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
The injury report for the Seahawks looks better. It's not perfect. It's still very long, and I recommend taking some time if you're going to go all the way through it. But unlike Wednesday, when you saw it yesterday, most of the players that were at least practicing partially in some of it, the only 2 guys who were unable to go at all because of injury were Kenneth Walker and Chenna Nwosu, neither of whom I think we've expected to play for these couple of weeks. So seems like relatively decent health for the Seahawks heading into the matchup against Miami.
Yeah, it wasn't clear if Ken Walker would be back this week, just because, again, we're getting a lot less than we used to injury-wise in terms of what Mike McDonald is willing to tell us in the press conference settings. But the fact that Ken Walker did not practice Wednesday or yesterday that tells me that it's probably going to be another week for him. We'll see. Maybe he takes a big turn today and does something, but it seems like it's going to be another week of Charbonnet, and I would anticipate Kenny McIntosh playing.
We didn't get to see any of Kenny McIntosh, really.
No,
2 snaps, no carries?
Yeah, that was really weird. You just rarely see a running back handle the entire workload throughout an entire game like Zach Charbonnet did. So I think they're going to try to mix in McIntosh a lot more than they did last week. And then, the other ones to keep an eye on are Jerome Baker and Boye Mafe. Both left that game against New England and did not return. Mafe and Baker were both limited participants yesterday, so seem to be heading in the right direction. But again, there's always that kind of gap between what we hear on Wednesday and then, when the final injury report comes out, which will be later today.
2 guys who've been getting healthier, George Fant and Pharaoh Brown. Both of them were limited participants both days this week, so maybe both could be in line for a return. And if they do, it would help, obviously, with their blocking. The one guy who's just been unbelievable, we can't really talk about him enough. It's hard because he's a left tackle. It's not like a sexy, interesting conversation. But Charles Cross has been awesome. And when Ryan Grubb was asked, hey, anybody stand out after watching the film? That was his answer.
Charles Cross, I think I say it all the time, but I really think he gets better every practice. And, if everybody had Charles' attention to detail and preparation, it would be shocking what we would do. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a compliment to Charles. If we do a walkthrough, he is drenched in sweat. His knees are bent on every play. His hand placement and eyes is critical. I mean, he just loves football, and he loves the process of getting ready for a game and going to battle. So I think he's an absolute stud.
I'm enjoying the Mike McDonald era, as I've talked about quite a bit. Kind of enjoying the Ryan Grubb era, too.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy, and that was a nice, detailed answer on, I think, why you're seeing this big step forward from Charles Cross. The first couple of years, he was good. He was a solid player. But you think, okay, this was a guy they drafted, 10th overall a couple years ago, so a top 10 pick. You wanted to see him take that next step, and it sounds like he's definitely doing that.
And that's been these conversations, right? Who can go good to great? Who can make this team great? Because you got to have great players in order to get there. He seems to be taking that step. Boye Mafe may be taking some of that step, but the amount of pressure, then havoc that he's wreaked just in the first couple of games of the season. Tariq Woolen may be heading back towards being great. Witherspoon certainly has that capability. Get a couple of guys into that realm, and you start having a very different conversation about these Seahawks. Jets blow out the Patriots last night. Rams and Niners this weekend. LA 0-3 or Niners 1-2. If you're a Seahawks fan, which should you be rooting for?
Probably the 49ers to lose.
Really?
I mean, it's going to be...
You don't want to bury the Rams early?
Well, it's going to be a dogfight. You're going to have to face... it's going to come down to both of those teams. So I guess it's pick whatever one you want. But look, man, 49ers, that Thursday night matchup in Week 6 starts to look different now. Man. So McCaffrey is on IR, so he would be the first game he's eligible to come back. But remember, that's a Thursday night game, so short week. Teams aren't really practicing... they're basically doing walkthroughs on short weeks like that. So is that really going to be the type of setting for them to bring a guy back off of a, month-long absence? I don't know. He could come back for that game technically, but I would just think with a Thursday night game, I think there's a good chance the Seahawks miss him in that game. So you combine the 49ers being without their best offensive player, you combine that with Mike McDonald giving them a much greater scheme advantage than they've had the last few years. And that looks like a more even matchup than it has
Arizona's got Detroit this weekend. Remember, Seattle has the Lions next week.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
Mariners salvaged the finale at home. The Yankees had certainly been celebrating, I think, late into the night, and it showed at times. How about the catch that Juan Soto made in right field, nearly getting hurt? That was one of the better plays I've seen this year. That was a really great play that he made, and it wasn't enough. The Yankees didn't have it. Logan Gilbert did. He was great. Once again, got his 200th strikeout of the season. An incredible accomplishment for him. Dan Wilson, happy to give him some credit, along with his battery mate and good friend.
They've come a long way together. I think there's just, there's just something about someone you've played with that you've come up with, that you've caught for a lot of time, that you've caught in the minor leagues and in the big leagues. And, I think the two of them have really grown together in this game. And I think they could probably complete each other's sentences at times and finish each other's thoughts at times, and that all helps. I think that catcher-pitcher relationship is an important one, and I think those guys have a very good understanding of one another.
He says that, but what were they trying to do last year more? Remember with Cal and Logan trying to guess what was written? Remember then Logan just couldn't get what Cal was saying?
Wasn't it the headphones?
Oh, it was the headphones.
They were trying to read each other's lips, basically.
That's what it was. It was the lip reading. They weren't very good at that. But Logan looked great yesterday. Another base running mistake. That's 3 in 3 games. I ranted a little bit about it earlier. I'll lay off for now, but it's not really the time for that. And when base running mistakes and mental mistakes start adding up, it starts to be a team issue rather than an individual issue. Twins lost. Tigers win. So the Tigers are actually in a tie for the wild card. Mariners, though, really 3 back of both teams with 9 to play. That means if you go 8-1, you need both of those teams to go 5-4 or worse. We'll see whether or not that's doable. Shohei Ohtani, unbelievable. 6 for 6 yesterday with 3 jacks, including his 50th. To become the first ever 50-50 player in baseball.
On a 1-2, Ohtani sends one in the air. The other way. Back it goes. Gone! One-of-a-kind player. One-of-a-kind season. Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club.
50-50.
That's a pretty good call, too.
Yeah, it's a very good call.
Yeah.
50-50 club.
So I don't really follow baseball. Is 50 home runs and 50 stolen
steals.
Bases? Is that good?
It's never done. Never been done.
That's pretty good, right?
I mean, A-Rod and a few others have done 40-40.
Did Bonds do 40-40 one year?
I think Bonds did 40-40. But 40-40 is exceedingly rare.
Yeah.
50-50 is insane. Just absolutely nuts. And to do it while also being arguably the best pitcher in baseball, I don't even know how to wrap my head around that.
And
kind
as
of
you mentioned, doing it on the heels of a massive scandal where he apparently got bilked out of a bunch of money.
Just amazing.
Not that he needs it.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
Training camp underway for the Kraken. A couple of storylines to watch. I've been talking about Shane Wright throughout the morning, who, homegrown talent and top 5 pick. And those are the guys that you need to take that step. This will be his real chance, I think, this year at being an NHL player, and he'll get that shot right off the bat. And curious to see how Dan Bylsma handles him, how he handles his line combos. Was reading last night, there's a decent chance they may need to trade a top 12 forward in order to get under the cap. So a lot of stuff to watch here as the Kraken get underway. They will have their first preseason game Sunday night. Whew, that's everything you need to know. It's a lot. There's a lot going on today.
Yeah. Are we going to talk about the Julio stuff?
Well, I did. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah. Oh, you already talked about it before I got here?
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy to if you want to.
Yeah. I'm curious for your opinion on sort of the infraction itself.
Yeah.
Or the infraction, the play at
play
issue
that made it all happen.
Yeah. And also about the idea of, because what I'm curious about is it seems like there's different set of rules in baseball between how managers talk about their players and how they talk about things that happen behind closed doors.
Managers and coaches, 2 very different words and 2 very different sports. Yeah, we can do that for a few minutes. We got some stuff to go around the NFL. I got some other sound for you. Yeah, we got a lot. Stick around. We'll do another half hour with Brady. It's Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
When you make the playoffs consistently, you just hit another gear. Do you think at any point the Houston Astros, when they were 10 games back or when they were really struggling, having the worst season they'd had in 6 years, we're out of this?
Probably not.
Because winning a lot and winning consistently changes you.
It really does.
And so that's the next level for the Mariners to get to, frankly. In addition to adding this offseason, in addition to doing all of these things, make yourself intimidating. Make yourself the bully. Make yourself believe in yourself. This team just needs to sharpen that.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app.
Hey, it's Mike Salk here, and fall is obviously the season that comes after summer, and this is when you start looking at what you've done the last few months, and maybe your self-control, your willpower was not as strong during the summer months. You wouldn't be alone. Well, this is the time to shed some of that weight if it's crept up on you, right? Before you get to the holiday season, this is the time to do it. And don't do it yourself. Let Eastside Weight Loss Clinic help you the way they absolutely helped me. There are a lot of weight loss plans. There's a lot of medication or injections out there that can help you take the weight off, but they're not teaching you how to keep it off long term. That's why Eastside Weight Loss is so great. It's given you a tool bag of knowledge to keep that weight off easily while still allowing you to enjoy your life. It really does work. You go through the program, you buy real food at the grocery store. There's no fake food. There's no medication, no injections. You're not hungry while you're doing it. And honestly, food and the recipes taste pretty darn good. So this is the time. Call 425-588-0080 to schedule a free consultation or go to eastsideweightlossclinic.com.
Buy a heat pump, get a furnace free. Now from Deere Services. You heard right. Buy a new heat pump, get a new furnace free from Deere Services. Save now and combine the year-round benefits and comforts of both systems, giving you warm winters and cool summers. Make an appointment at DEARservices.net, and we'll be there within 3 hours guaranteed. And get this, no service fees. Buy a new heat pump, get a new furnace free now at Deere Services. Seattle Seahawks, small business partners.
As fall and winter weather sets in, your lawn becomes a muddy mess, and your kids and pets bring the mud inside. But with Synthetic Turf Northwest, you can have a lush, green yard year-round. No mud, no mess. Their premium synthetic turf systems drain fast and stay clean, no matter how hard it rains. Right now, during the Fall Blitz, you can save up to $1,500 on a new synthetic lawn. So say goodbye to muddy paws and say hello to your dream lawn. Call Synthetic Turf Northwest today or visit syntheticturfnorthwest.com to get started.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and clear skin, count me in. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Heading outdoors or on the water this weekend? Check in with Joey and Nelly on the Outdoor Line from 6 to 8 a.m. every Saturday on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
This is the day of the big sale at your gift shop.
Welcome in.
So this isn't just a big day for your business. It's a big day for the network keeping it all connected. That is, if it can handle the pressure.
Next in line, please.
So is it possible to get business internet you can really count on? It is. With 99.9% network reliability from Comcast Business. It's like this neat little bow.
Do you like that gift wrap?
Really ties it all together. Reliable internet for your business. It's not just possible, it's happening. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Switch to Comcast Business and get started with reliable internet and advanced security for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get up to a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying internet package. Don't wait. Call or go online to switch today. Offer ends 9/22/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabit per second internet. Eagle bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After 12 months, regular rates apply.
As a Washington State business, you can take advantage of Labor and Industries' no-cost safety and health consultation program. We can help you build out your accident prevention plan, meet safety obligations, and reduce your risk of costly safety citations. You can have us look at a single item or your entire facility. And consultations are confidential, which means you will not be cited if a hazard is found. You'll just need to fix it, and we can help you with that as well. There isn't a safety question we can't help with. To learn more, visit lni.wa.gov/consultations.
I grew up in a very angry time.
A night of comedy at Emerald Queen Casino Event Center.
We were afraid of your dad.
Friday, October 4th. Hold on tight. It's Bill Burr.
Like, I love seeing kids nowadays loving their dad.
Tickets at emeraldqueen.com.
When I was a kid, I was like, Dad, run! Run!
Don't miss Bill Burr, October 4th at the Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest. 21 and older. Need gambling help? Call 800-547-6133 or visit emeraldqueen.com.
This hour is brought to you by Amazon Hub Delivery.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
You want to talk about what happened the other night, Brady? You really want to talk about what happened the other night?
Let's talk about it.
Guy almost has his life taken by a bat. All right, that's an exaggeration. But the bat did go flying out towards third base. Julio ran away from it. And then he was thrown out. And I know about 70-30 in my Twitter poll, people saying that Julio was at fault for it. I didn't necessarily think so. Here's how it sounded on the radio.
The 2-2. Swing and a miss, and the bat goes flying out of his hands, and it almost hits Julio, who gets off the bag in foul territory. Wells throws to third. The tag is made, and Julio is out. Julio is out at third as Arozarena threw the bat. It slipped out of his hands, and it almost hit Julio. In a move of self-preservation, Julio got out of the way, was a mile off the bag, and Wells threw down to Chisholm. And there are 2 outs, and the Mariners have lost a runner at third base.
Yeah, the more I hear it, the more I think it's true. Julio really needed to dive towards the field of play. How dare he go to his right and not his left?
Or maybe you just stand in there and it's like some guys you just take the pitch, on the backside. Maybe you just stand in there and take the bat.
If you take a bat.
I'm kidding, obviously.
I don't put Julio at fault for that one. But everyone else does, including the manager. And apparently he wanted Julio to come in and apologize, and Julio did. So I guess I'm wrong. For me, I would not blame a guy for being off the bag after a bat is fired at them.
Now, just to get a sort of better handle on the situation itself, on the play itself. In situations like that, is timeout typically called?
I've never seen a situation like that. I can't give you a typically because I've quite literally never seen that happen.
Really?
Obviously, timeout wasn't called. In my view, the ump should have called it a dead ball at that point since there was a strike 3. That play is over, and the bat is being thrown out into the field of play at one of the runners. I think the umpire should have blown the play dead at that point.
Do you think that's what Julio thought?
He said
happening?
afterwards that that's what he thought.
Okay.
Yes, but now he apparently went in and talked to Dan Wilson. And, for me, it starts that, I would have thought the manager would have been out there arguing on Julio's behalf, yelling at the umpire saying, why didn't you blow the play dead?
Right.
Why didn't you raise your hands? That's a dead ball.
And he didn't do that?
He didn't do anything. And Julio comes back sheepishly, and that was sort of the end of it. Afterwards, 2 days ago, Dan basically says this.
Kind of a freak scenario there at the end with the bat coming down there, and just kind of a reactionary thing, and this is a tougher one to lose. This is it was a great ball game on all fronts, and
he just sort of stops talking about it there, and then comes in yesterday and said this.
Yeah, he came into my office and apologized for making a mistake there, and I really respect him for that, and we had a good conversation, and today is turn the page and we start new.
So Julio, he says, came in and apologized for it, and he really respects him for that, and they're going to move on. I was pretty surprised to hear that.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting to me is there wasn't any sort of context in the comment there from Dan Wilson about, he didn't say, yeah, he apologized for making this mistake, even though, he was in a weird situation. It was kind of a, thing where hard to avoid. It seems like Dan Wilson really thinks that Julio made a mistake there.
That sure does.
And my question to you is, do you think this would be different if Julio wasn't having a pretty disappointing season? Do you think Dan Wilson would look at that mistake in a different lens?
To me, it doesn't point to his season necessarily. It asks and raises questions about why. It does ask and raise questions as to why he is making that public and sort of treating it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's because of Julio's season in terms of the numbers. To me, it's either because Julio needs it, that he's kind of gotten too big and it's time to, take some drastic measures to try to bring him back to earth, or it's a manager that is going to manage in a very different way from what I've seen over the last 10, 15, 20 years in baseball, where you publicly praise and cover and privately criticize and teach. I've not seen a lot of public calling out from a baseball manager in 20 plus years. Just not how the game has evolved. And granted, I've been around Terry Francona and Scott Service probably more than anybody else during that time, but both of them, we watched cover for players constantly. And I was definitely surprised that it didn't go in this way. So,
what do you think your guy Tito? How do you think
Tito?
he would have? Yeah, how do you think he would have handled it?
I mean, first of all, I think he would have been out arguing right off the bat. I mean, I don't know what he would have said specifically
with
here,
a big dip in his mouth, right?
Yeah, well, it's dip that he rolls in gum.
Yeah,
it's totally disgusting.
Yeah,
he takes a dip, he rolls it in bubble gum, and then puts that back into his mouth.
Yeah,
absolutely nasty, just disgusting. Anyway, I love Tito. I don't know what he would have said about this, but I've watched many number of times when Manny Ramirez wouldn't run it out to first base, or got caught doing something ridiculous, or didn't play for some unknown reason, maybe being punished behind the scenes. And Tito unfailingly would say, "Oh, Hammy,
got a little Hammy.
Hammy's barking. Oh, he's a good kid. He's a good kid. I love him. Hammy's just barking. So he'll be good. He'll probably be back in there another day or two." Like, that's what Tito would do, no matter what. No matter what. Oh, Hammy, just bark. Oh, he always got a little calf barking, right? He just cover. Didn't matter what happened. And eventually, they just got rid of Manny Ramirez after he did some things that were just unforgivable behind the scenes. But during their run to a couple of different championships, it was just kind of cover for him. And it worked out very, very, very well for him. I don't think Scott would have handled this the same way Dan Wilson did. I'm not telling you necessarily that one is right or one is wrong, but I was shocked. And if I were Julio, I would have been very upset at the way that was made public as opposed to handled privately. I'm not saying Julio doesn't respect Dan Wilson, but I'm absolutely shocked that it went down that way. Now, as I said, this is not necessarily on Dan. Maybe it's time. Mm-hmm. I don't know what's been going on behind the scenes with Julio. Maybe this is a Julio thing where it's been a year of him not being accountable for not his hitting, but his work ethic, concentration, whatever it might be behind the scenes. I've not heard any of that. I've not heard that Julio doesn't concentrate. I've not heard that at all. I've always heard Julio's a hard worker, and so you kind of give him some leeway on whether the results are there as long as the process has been good. But after this, to me, it's got to be one way or another. Either Julio is not living up to the concentration, work ethic type of standards, or Dan Wilson has decided to go nuclear on his superstar. Mm-hmm. And one of those two things is surprising.
Because Dan Wilson, he's obviously in his first time.
He's been doing this a month.
Right. He's in his first time as a manager, but he's been around baseball his entire life. So he knows that was a different way of handling it than what is typically the norm with managers, right?
Certainly hasn't been the norm here, and wasn't the norm from what I saw in Boston when I was there covering Tito. And you don't hear a lot of this around baseball. I'm not saying it never happens, and I'm sure you could kind of come up with examples where it does, but it stood out. And, generally my experience around players is that they want the manager to have their back, want the manager to come out and argue for them, especially on a cuckoo play like that nobody's ever seen before. Look, if Julio makes a ridiculous base running mistake
or doesn't hustle, on
by all means. But in the last 3 days, I watched Victor Robles make an absolutely inane base running mistake trying to steal home with 3 balls on the batter and a full count. And the bases loaded, rather. Bizarre. Didn't hear anything. I saw Dylan Moore make a base running mistake yesterday and get thrown out at third base on a ground ball to short in the 8th inning in a 1-run game. I heard nothing. I saw Justin Turner hit a high fly ball to center field that didn't go out, should have been caught, but was dropped by Jason Dominguez on that one too, right? And instead wasn't hustling, made it to second, but wasn't exactly running it out. I didn't hear anything about that. So there have been plenty of examples, and if you want to go back, we have Victor Robles laying down a bunt with 1 out and a man on first. That cost them. You got Leo Rivas laying down a bunt in a situation in the 5th inning that ended up scoring a run because of an error, but in no way should have been the play in that moment, and I think he was acting on his own. And in none of these cases has there been anything made public about those players. So, yeah, this definitely stands out and certainly shocks me because it's a play that literally none of us have ever seen before because I don't think it's ever happened in the history of baseball. But that's your opportunity to criticize Julio? I'm honestly, I'm blown away that that's the way it went down. And so because that's so shocking to me, I've got to assume that there's more to that story. Either it's time with Julio. Like, hey, man, this can't happen again. Things have been happening throughout the year that haven't been made public, and this was the last straw. Or it's a nuclear reaction to something that doesn't deserve that.
And it's so different, you know, as I one reason I like having these baseball conversations with you is because I cover football. That's the world that I live in and I cover. And it's just so different. And, you know, the whole aspect of like, you know, the guaranteed contracts in baseball, I think it does make it harder, I would imagine, for managers to really come down on players. In football, it's a different story because a guy can be cut. Now, you know, when you're on a big contract with a lot of guaranteed money, then it becomes tougher. But generally speaking, NFL coaches, the setup makes it more conducive to that, to really holding players accountable, to really coming down on them when you need to. Because the player knows that his contract, you know, at some point that guaranteed money runs out, and at some point, you know, see you later. He could be cut at the snap of a finger.
The difference between being a coach and being a manager, the name is not the only difference, but the name is very telling. Baseball managers are just that. They're managers. They're not calling plays the way coaches and coordinators are. They're managing the game, managing the personalities, and really, for those people who work in large offices, they're really middle managers because they're not in charge. They're middle managers.
The GM is in charge.
They're not giving out the contracts. The GMs are, for the most part, not just giving out contracts, but also calling a lot of the strategy before the game even starts through the analytics, et cetera. They are managing personalities. And they're managing, you know, who's going to come into a game when. But even that, for the most part, has been decided long ago. They're enacting that game plan. But they're not necessarily devising it the way a head coach is in the NFL. They're just different sports. And I know that football's become so popular and everyone is so engrossed in it that it's easy to sort of want to footballize baseball.
Yeah.
But they're different games. They're played over different lengths of time, different types. They almost have nothing in common. Other than that, they're both sports.
Yeah, and even in football, I mean, we saw here, Pete Carroll, you know, he and John Schneider were on equal footing, you know, in that front office, I would say. But at the end of the day, you know, Pete had the final say. There's other situations where it's, I think, more clear cut where the head coach is the guy really in charge. I mean, Sean McVay is making those decisions for the most part. You know, with the Rams, there's, you know, almost half the league, I would say, too, is
where the head coach is really
the head coach is really in charge. And so it is just such a much different, in a lot of cases, just a much different dynamic than in baseball.
They are different sports. As I said at 6:30, I know a lot of people are going to very, very heartily disagree with my take and my impression of what I'm seeing there. That's okay. I totally understand. The phone lines will be open at 9:30, and I'm sure some folks will call in to tell me I'm crazy and that I'm making a mountain out of a molehill. You might be right. I don't think so. To me, that was a very, very, very big surprise. My jaw dropped when I read that quote yesterday. I was shocked. Honestly, I was really surprised that was the quote that we read publicly. Am I surprised it happened privately? No, not really. Tons of stuff happens privately that we don't hear about. Public? It's pretty surprising. Okay. You want some sound? You want some Seahawks sound, Brady? All right. Let me play you some Seahawks sound and we can react to this as we get ready. We just have a few more minutes with Brady. Stacey Ross going to come in at 9. Open phone lines at 9:30. It is a Football Friday, which of course is powered by the Snoqualmie Casino Sportsbook. Here is Ryan Grubb. I like these two quotes a lot. The first one is on when you're struggling to run. What do you do? How do you get back to this thing that's so important when you're not doing it very well?
There certainly is things within the game plan that can undress that. When you think that, okay, I got to find out later if we're gonna have the ability to get back to the run. And I think our game plan is typically littered with that to make sure that there's always an opportunity to get back to that. And for us, you know, at the end, that was certainly the case. That we had some doors open there for looks where we could have switched or checked to a run, but they kept giving us the throw looks.
Yeah, there are ways. I think what he's talking about there is ways to try to run the ball when you're not running the ball. I mean, one way is to try to test defenses downfield, and when you start having success downfield, that can typically that gets the safety out of the box and it puts them back deep in coverage, and now all of a sudden you have an advantage in terms of your guys trying to run the ball between their defenders. There's when it's a lighter box, that's easier to run in. I think you can also kind of switch gears a little bit and do what they did, which was a lot of shorter passes to Jackson Smith and Jigba. And it's probably not a coincidence that he had the best game of his career on a day where they could not run the ball. He had, I think, over 10 catches. A lot of it was those shorter type throws where it just seemed like in a game like this where when they're as challenged as they are up front, pass blocking wise, against a team that had some good success pass rushing wise the week before, it seemed like Jackson Smith and Jigba might be a matchup that suits him well. The other aspect of that is when you can't run the ball, those short passes can sort of be an extension of your run game a little bit, or at least a replacement for your run game.
Yeah, well, it was interesting, what Ray Roberts said about this offensive line when he joined us earlier this week, and sort of trying to figure out what they're capable of doing right now.
And I've always said that, play calling and play design has as much to do with offensive line development as the actual players themselves. And right now, I don't know I think they are in that fill out stage. And if you ask me, I don't know that they have the guys that are like people movers, at least not right now. And so I think that they're better at the pin and the pull, getting some eye candy in the backfield to kind of help them out with some of that stuff. But it's just lining up and saying we're going to run split zone between the tackles downhill. I don't know that they're that group right now. And so if I was them, I would lean more towards the pin and pull, the movement stuff, than just to line up and I'm just going to beat you one-on-one and drive you down the field.
Yeah, and then the question becomes, how good of a fit is Zach Charbonnet, who's a much different style of running back than Ken Walker? Like, how good of a fit is he for what they were trying?
That pin and pull type of thing?
Exactly. Or for what they were, for that matter, what they were trying to do last week. We heard Mike McDonald, I can't remember if it was, I think it was in his Monday press conference, talking about just where the run game is at, and he said that they need to find their calling card. They need to find out what they're good at. And you can practice all this stuff in the off season, and it's just so different when you're, installing it on air, and even when you're running it in training camp when it's not totally live and you're running it against your own defense.
Kind of okay with that not being known yet. They're 2 games.
I think a lot of teams
this.
are in that. Yeah, a lot of teams, especially teams with first-year head coaches, first-year offensive coordinators.
I don't think that's that surprising that they don't know exactly what they're reliant on yet in their big moments. And that you sort of ask more about that. The whole break glass play, right? Like in case of emergency, this is the thing you need when you've got 3rd and 2 and you've got to pick it up. How do you come up with those plays? Here's more from Grubb.
Yeah, no, we all do as a collective offensive staff. We'll come together with the game plan, and then I'll probably isolate the ones that I feel the most comfortable with, calling in those situations that I got the most confidence that we're going to execute at a really high level.
I get the sense he's pretty good at those.
Yeah.
He seems like he's pretty darn good at setting up these big moment plays.
Well, I mean, all we know, at least in terms of the NFL, is what we've seen. There's been 2 games that have both come down to the wire and both have been won, not solely on one play, but there's been some very critical offensive plays in both those games. The 3rd and 6.
Yep.
Yeah, the 3rd and 6 to Tyler Lockett in the first game. He told us that play, that crossing route to Tyler Lockett, that was their break class play in that game, and where if they were going to be aggressive, and that was a gutsy call there to really be that aggressive on 3rd and 6. You might want to. Some coaches might want to run the ball there,
punt it away.
Punt it away just to try to bleed the clock. But they were aggressive there. And then, you saw it was another completion to Charbonnet in this game, also on 3rd and 6, where they run. I don't know if it was a screen pass per se,
Brock
but
told
a
me
little
it
dump
wasn't
off.
a screen. I thought it was a screen. He was like, no, it's something else. But it had the same type of effect.
Yeah, that may have been the play where they were trying to get to in the Dallas game last year with DJ Dallas, and it just got all kind of muddled in the backfield and it got blown up. But it wasn't a screen in the sense that you didn't have the blockers out there like the convoy that you typically see on some screen passes. So whatever it was, it worked, and that was the another critical situation where they came through.
I guess I'd say we know a little bit more information. We know what he did at Washington last year in those big moments, and obviously the Apple Cup and the triple option reverse play to Odunze in that huge moment was another example. So yeah, I think he's been pretty darn impressive, especially just in that specific part of calling games. And he sure seems to be willing to adapt on the fly.
I think anytime you have a situation like that, you want to be an answer-based offense and be able to respond. And we got a lot of talented guys. And I think that if they take one thing away and try to focus on that, you have to be able to fall back on whatever the other side is. So if they want to challenge you in the run game and you feel like the advantage is throwing the football, then you have to attack that and stay aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is he kind of had to call that game with one hand tied behind his back, knowing that the run game was just not there. And whether that was, again, I think that was mostly because they weren't moving people up front. Their offensive line was overmatched in that game. And, they didn't have their starting running back. I think, again, I don't know if Ken Walker, having him in there would have made a huge difference. Maybe he bounces some of those runs outside. He's so good at making something out of nothing. But I think even Ken Walker would have had a tough day just because there was not a whole lot of room to run because they weren't moving people. And so Ryan Grubb had to call a game knowing that you're probably not going to get a whole lot out of your run game. And so how do you adjust? You adjust with getting the ball out quickly and getting the ball a lot to, JSN on those short underneath throws. And that's why JSN had the most productive game of his career.
You think the offense has a little more success against this Dolphins D?
They got to move people, man. Like it's tough
still
when
that offensive line.
Yeah, they're still, I think, going to have some of the same challenges. And I will see if George Fant gets back in this game.
Who was your colleague at ESPN? Was it Ben Solak who had the contenders pretenders thing for the 2-0 teams? And his comments on the Seahawks were just like, I want to say that they're great, but I'm going to say pretender because I just will not get suckered into believing in a team without an offensive line ever again.
Yeah, and maybe. I think there are some reasons for hope with that group. That Connor Williams, I think he played well in that game, well enough, obviously. But remember, this is a guy who's in his 2 games into a torn recovery from a torn ACL, 2 games into learning a new offense. I think it's pretty reasonable to expect that he's going to get better throughout the season. And they still think they're gonna get Abe Lucas back at some point, as I mentioned in Blue 88. I don't think that's happening, right away. I think it's going to be closer to midseason, and then, maybe it takes a couple games for him to get his feet wet, but he could be a difference maker there when he gets back.
I do think this team is going to keep getting better over the course of this year. Everything we've seen from Mike McDonald, Ryan Grubb, the rest of this group tells me that's the case. Barring a weird, significant injury, yeah, I think they're going to keep improving as this season goes on. Brady, great stuff as always. A super fun couple of hours. Thanks for coming in today. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, that was fun, as always.
Everybody canceled. DJ canceled. Brock canceled. Nobody wanted to hang out with us today. What do you think the deal is?
I don't know. It's probably me, though.
It's probably you.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Based on the text response to my Julio take, it's probably me, but whatever. We'll come right back. Stacy's going to pop in for a few minutes. Then we'll open up the phone lines. You guys can yell and scream or whatever you need to do at 9:30. Brady, thank you. Have a great weekend. We'll see you guys in a minute. It's Brock and Salk. Seattle Sports on 710.
2-0.
The Seahawks win the game in overtime against the Patriots.
The Hawks look to remain undefeated as they host Tyreek Hill and the Miami Dolphins.
Gino's going to let it fly. DK's wide open. 10, 5, strides in, touchdown, Seahawks.
This Sunday, Hawks, Dolphins, kickoff 1:05, pregame starting at 10 on your home for the Hawks, Seattle Sports.
Holy Captain!
Green Day present the Saviors Tour. Live in Seattle, T-Mobile Park, September 23rd. Performing both Dookie and American Idiot in their entirety, plus fan favorites and tracks from their new album, Saviors, with the Smashing Pumpkins, Rancid, and the Linda Lindas. Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. Green Day, the Saviors Tour, fueled by Monster Energy.
The seasons are changing, and if you're thinking it's time to change what you drive, the incredible team at Toyota of Kirkland will get you charged up with the BZ4X. Toyota's all-electric crossover SUV features an estimated range up to 252 miles, getting you where you need to go. Test drive the BZ4X at the electrifying showroom at Toyota of Kirkland and take it home the same day. Visit in person today at Toyota of Kirkland or online at toyotaofkirkland.com.
Want to listen to Seattle sports on your smart speaker?
Hey, smart speaker, play Seattle sports.
This message is powered by the EQC Sportsbook at Emerald Queen Casino. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest. Simply Seattle, presenting sponsor of the Brock and Salk Show, is your one-stop shop for all things Seattle sports. Our Hawks are 2-0 with a big home game this weekend. Shop the best Hawks gear in town at Simply Seattle. Use code SeattleSports15 for 15% off every order. SimplySeattle.com.
My wife and I always loved doing everything together. Jiu-jitsu, kayaking, and intimacy was always on point. It was around my early 30s when I noticed a downward trend. Watching a lot of TV, putting on weight, and just full of self-doubt. I had tried another men's clinic with disappointing results. It's the personalized treatment I receive at Revive Men's Health that has been the complete game changer for me. I've got my energy and motivation back. I'm feeling stronger than I did in my 20s, and it made me a much better husband to my wife.
This is Dr. Andrew Elshouse of Revive Men's Health. If you're always feeling tired or moody, or your sleep is poor, you have low libido, you may be suffering from low testosterone.
Book your free T-check and exam. Call Revive Men's Health Seattle at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
My Seahawks jersey is more than just a piece of clothing.
It's a symbol of the unique spirit of my city.
Creating a sense of community and belonging.
A bond uniting us and a love for the game. This is my jersey.
This is my jersey.
This is my jersey.
This is the Pro Shop. You can find your new favorite jersey at the Seahawks Pro Shop. Shop online at Seahawks.com or visit us at the Landing in Renton or Lumen Field.
At the UPS store, we understand the importance of a first impression. That's why we're here to help you put your best foot forward and be unstoppable with our printing services. With high-quality paper stock options, banners, business cards, menus, and more, we make sure your small business stands out and your message reaches the masses. After all, we're the one-stop Prints That Pop store. Most locations are independently owned. Product, services, prices, and hours of operation may vary. See Center for details. The UPS store. Be unstoppable. Come into your local store today and get your print on.
Mom, meet Sarah.
From first-time Nana moments.
Yeah, welcome to Flight 101.
To annual girls trip moments. Your can't-miss moments are worth protecting against RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV. And there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com.
So where should we go next?
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hey, pet parents. With Progressive's collision coverage, you get extra protection for your cat or dog. Because there's nothing worse than seeing your pet hurt. Like when you see their face after accidentally stepping on their tail, and you say, "I'm so sorry, Mr. Pickles." But as you kiss his nose and rub his little belly welly, you know Mr. Pickles is thinking, "You betrayed me." Anywho, Progressive pays up to $1,000 in vet bills if your pet is injured in an auto accident. Learn more at Progressive.com and watch where you step. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Collision coverage subject to policy terms. Not available in all states.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. And one thing I've learned is that you buy a house, but you make it a home. Because with every fix, update, and renovation, it becomes a little more your own. So you need all your jobs done well. For nearly 30 years, Angie has helped millions of homeowners hire skilled pros for the projects that matter. From plumbing to electrical, roof repair to deck upgrades. So leave it to the pros who will get your jobs done well. Hire high-quality certified pros at Angie.com.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
This hour is brought to you by Muckleshoot Casino Resort.
Get him freaking out! From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
I don't read the internet, guys.
Take the bull by the hands.
Styled by Simply Seattle.
And Brooke Ewart. And Brooke Ewart.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Ewart and Mike Salk.
Fridays are so fun because I get to just talk with my friends.
Yeah.
Brock leaves, and I get to have people I like in, which is fun. Brady was here for the last 2 hours, and now Stacey Rost is here.
Hi, Mike. I'm going to interrupt you.
Oh, geez.
I just have a quick statement to make. Now, normally the promo intro that I get if I join you on Fridays is slightly different. This one has one Heather Salk on it, saying "Take the bull by the hands."
Yeah.
Do you know how many times? This is a serious issue. This is slander.
Yeah.
Do you know how many times we've had people, including guests on our show, like, "Hey, Stacey, take the bull by the hands," right?
Oh, no.
Crazy.
Oh, that's so terrible.
And then I just have to be like, "I know, right?" And
that's
let them
so
go.
awful.
So anyways, I just want to issue a PSA and just a statement that,
No, that was
it's Heather.
Take the bull by the hands.
That's my wife.
Yeah, and I have always thought it was the funniest line, and it's like so clever, and I love that Heather's part of it.
I think we have the actual context, the whole context of it.
I love the
Do you want to
context
hear
of
the
it.
context?
Yes,
Here
I
you go.
love this
Listen.
story.
My wife, Heather, is here in studio with us. If you were to grow a mustache.
Okay. I've been blessed actually with zero facial hair.
No, I've been blessed. Heather suffers in so many other ways. Having me as a husband, she's at least blessed with zero facial hair herself. How would you want somebody to broach that subject?
I think you can absolutely not bring in a third party to do your dirty work. That's my feeling.
Never?
You cannot use a friend. You cannot use the esthetician to do your dirty work for you.
Okay.
You've got to take the bull by the hands and just do it with humor.
My wife just dropped esthetician. Text messages 710-710, powered by Xfinity. Salk, your wife really does sound like a stoner. That's not true. She's not a stoner. Salk, your wife sounds hot. Why did she marry a Wookiee? You're going to have to ask her. God knows. God only knows. Thank you, Heather, for coming in. Excellent work. And that's when we started seeing the text that said, "I didn't realize bulls had hands."
It is a really funny line.
It's great.
But anyways, I've had people tweet at me. I've had Ryan Roland Smith was on with us a couple weeks ago and was like, "Take the bull by the hands, right, Stacey?" Which isn't how he said it. He said it like, "Take the bull by the hands, right, Stacey?" I don't know how he said it. It's my
Sort of a
Australian
Southern
accent.
Australian accent, I guess.
No, it's I can't do Australian or
Yeah,
British.
no, that's Heather. That's not Stacey.
Yeah,
for
so
anybody who
just issuing a statement and an apology for Heather, who is a wonderful person. Did not deserve to be part of this
Who
conversation.
sounds really young in that clip, too. It's crazy.
I think that clip's
15
so
years ago.
funny.
15 years ago.
God, you guys have been doing this for a long
I
time.
know. It's really been a while.
I'm going to be honest. Till 30 seconds ago, I thought it was Stacey.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying, Lyle. Thank you so
wow.
much for validating me.
That clip and Lyle are about the same age, which is really,
Roughly.
really amazing.
Well, I can't be mean to Lyle because my point was to balance out
Right.
the hate that he gets on this show by every day I come in and I say, like, keep shining like the diamond you are, Lyle.
That's nice of you.
Just give him encouragement.
That's really, really nice of you. You know, spend a few minutes talking Seahawks here. I just said to Brady, like, I'm kind of in love with everything Mike McDonald has done so
Right?
far. I can't come up with anything I don't like. I love the scheme, but I don't really understand that stuff.
Yeah.
The way he's coaching the team in general, because that was the question, because he hasn't, and look, he hasn't lost a game yet. There's a lot of stuff to see how it goes. But based on what we've seen so far, like, I can't come up with anything. I think he's been phenomenal.
And I think that it would be really telling. We knew that this would be from the jump for Seattle and for us as sports radio hosts, a conversation about coaching because they had so much of the same personnel, right?
Mhm.
So you wouldn't be able to be like, oh, they brought in a number 3 overall pick and then they traded this huge, they made this big trade or they brought in this guy or they did whatever. It's largely the same personnel defensively, or it is the changes that have been made are not guys where you would have looked at him and you said, oh, they're succeeding because of Rayshon Jenkins.
Mhm.
And that's not a dig at Rayshon Jenkins, who's a tested veteran who's coming in here, who made it a hugely important tackle to save
Sure.
a touchdown from the Broncos in the first drive that Denver had. But this was always going to be a conversation early about coaching. And I'm stunned by how different they look, in particular with tackling. And we asked, speaking of, Rayshon Jenkins on the huddle, like, what was different? Like, you guys have looked really solid, and I know that sometimes there's sloppy play in the first couple games for defense because you guys don't get a lot of practice.
Mhm.
He was like, we really, really intensely focus on this. We do this every single day, and we still do it. He's like, the season started, and we're still doing these drills
Which is
every
great.
single day. Yeah.
Yeah, you as you were talking, I'm thinking the guys that have taken those big steps forward and really, Boye Mafe, Julian Love, both here last year, Derek Hall, who has shown up for the first time ever, who was quite frankly on his way to being a bust based on what we'd seen last year. I mean, those three probably stand out the most to me in terms of like eye-opening, wow. And Charles Cross on the offensive side. And maybe even Reek Woolen because of the kind of
I think he's had a huge step back into things.
So that's 5 guys.
Step forward.
That have all taken huge steps forward from last year. And there may be others, but those 5 really jump out.
Yeah, and I think that, too, the pieces that you've added have not been liabilities. Like, has anyone at any point in these games thought, I'm so angry they signed Jerome Baker? Like, has anyone thought, why did they let Bobby walk? Why did they do that? Like, has anyone sincerely been asking yourself that? I don't know that
The question
I have.
there is just, can those guys stay healthy? They are smaller linebackers.
Yeah.
Will they be able to maintain over the course of the year? And do they have enough depth at the position? But watching them defend the pass in the middle of the field, I don't think anyone's missed Bobby Wagner or Jordan Brooks at all from that standpoint.
Well, and, all due respect to Bobby Wagner, like, he is now of the age, which is only in his early 30s, where, like, there's been a shift in the way that linebackers are developed. More linebackers in the league look like Jerome Baker or Tyrell Dodson than they do like Bobby Wagner. Now, Bobby's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like, of course linebackers don't look or play like Bobby Wagner. They're impossible to find. But the league has, and this is part of a bigger conversation happening around the league, is, are you reading a ton about like just the stifling of offense overall, the offensive passing touchdowns are down, passing yards are down, all this is down, and there's so many reasons why. And Mel Kiper Jr. the other day said that he wanted to create a ban on too high safety.
He's going to ban
too high safeties, which is ridiculous.
We might do a constitutional amendment.
Yeah, exactly. We may have to get to the Supreme Court for this one. but that one of the tiny little things that are playing into it is obviously the change in what defensive players look like and what their skill set is. That linebackers are no longer built as these burly dudes that just stop running backs, and also as guys who can be quick in coverage. Like, that's something that has also evolved and is paying dividends.
They're big safeties essentially now are playing the middle of the field. And I've spent a lot of time kind of looking at that. We were saying that earlier. A few years. Remember when the Chiefs and Rams played that game where both of them were in the 50s?
Yeah.
And everyone's like, the defense is dead. This is the future of the NFL.
Great game.
It's like, no, it's not.
No.
Like, these things evolve. Defenses will come up with the next way to try to stop the offense. Then the offense is going to evolve. Like, it's always, if you want to stop this too high safety thing, just run the ball and maul people. And we saw the Seahawks do that in game 1.
And you're going to see it from other teams too. Like, I really do think that, remember for the longest time, the conversation that people were having, particularly in the analytics community, because you look at overall efficiency and value, passing is more efficient than running, and running backs, because they're injured, are not as valuable. The idea became running backs are not valuable. That you can get a good running back in the 7th round. Do not pay running backs again. That teams who are going to pass more are just inherently more efficient. And, like, on its face, that's true.
Kind of.
I mean, we've seen great running backs, Isaiah Pacheco for Kansas City in the 7th, Chris Carson in the 7th for Seattle. You've seen, obviously, teams that have scored a ton of points do that by having really prolific passing attacks. However, dig a little bit deeper, and you're going to find that those teams still rely very much on the run.
Yeah.
And there are still great running backs that teams are finding earlier.
Most of the best running backs are still 1st and 2nd round picks.
Yes.
Not all of them.
But that's still true. I'm just saying that it was a shallow argument.
Like a lot of things, those things tend to get exaggerated. I think at the beginning, when I first remember talking about this, it was running backs 6 through 25 are about the same in the NFL.
Yeah.
There's 4 or 5 guys that are difference makers and 4 or 5 guys that stink. And the other guys are all kind of like, do you want a fast one? Do you want a big one? Like, whatever sort of your desire is. But they're all basically replaceable. And somehow through that game of telephone and exaggeration, it got turned into running backs are meaningless. It's like, well, I don't know about that. They are a reliant position. They rely on an offensive lineman quite a bit. So are linebackers if they have to make tackles.
And also telling that I'm sure every single person you spoke to, whether it's Brock or whether it's anyone, any former player was always like, no.
Yeah, you got to run the ball.
About? Yeah, what are you talking about?
You have to run the ball. Like, and yeah. So I think McDonald, one of the things he's done best is balance a lot of that stuff. His team seems very willing to kind of do whatever it takes to win offensively, defensively. It's been a heck of a start here.
Yeah.
So what happens if they win Sunday? You get to play Skylar Thompson. You get to 3-0.
Yeah. Do you know Skylar Thompson was like 18 of 45 in a playoff game?
I do remember that he was not good.
It's not great.
Yeah.
I was looking up numbers for teams that start 3-0 to start the season. 74% chance to make the playoffs.
That's pretty good.
Or rather, I should say, those teams have made the playoffs 74% of the time,
Much better.
and 42 of those teams went to a Super Bowl.
That's a lot.
That's a lot
Yeah.
from, I think, a pool of like 100, 30 or something like
So
that.
getting to 3-0 doesn't guarantee you of anything.
No, but it does
But sure.
indicate that it's typically a team that has real talent.
Man, what a tremendous start they've had to this season, and getting to play in order the god-awful Bo Nix, then Jacoby Brissett, and now Skylar Thompson. Just you couldn't ask for a more tailor-made way to start your Seahawks coaching career than Mike
Yeah, no
McDonald's
kidding.
had. Stacey, thank you.
You're
Your show
welcome.
coming up here in less than an hour, 10 o'clock, Bumpin' Stacey.
Yeah.
Big stuff.
Our Fridays are always super fun. We have callers, we do bold takes, we have a game show. We try to really lean heavy into like what fun can we draw out of our version of a Seahawks preview on Friday. Obviously, we'll have some Mariner stuff.
I've
too.
decided to just get super angry here on a Friday, but hey, we all have different...
I missed angry Mike.
Lyle, was I angry?
Lyle, be honest. It's okay. This is a safe space.
More yesterday than today.
Yesterday I was angry. No, yesterday I got angry. Today, I don't think I was angry. I was trying to just give people my reasoning. I think other people are angry. I think I've made people angry more than I've been angry myself.
See, when I get fired up, I just say, I'm just passionate. I'm
Yeah.
just passionate today.
I'm usually just angry. That's Stacey Rost. She'll be on at 10 o'clock. We'll be right back with everything you need to know. It's Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
There was a new power ranking that came out for ESPN.
Weekdays 2 to 7.
Seahawks made a big jump. They were at 19 last week. They have moved up 9 spots to number 10.
10's pretty high. I mean, that's
top 10 in the league, 32 teams. So I'll take it.
I think people are starting to come around to Geno. 72%, 75%, just his feet and his leadership and everything. I think he's setting up for a really good year.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
911, what is your emergency?
There's a fire in my building. Please send help right away.
What is the address of the fire?
My address. It's, hold on. Oh, wait. The fire sprinkler just went off, and it's putting out the fire.
Good to hear. The fire department will still be dispatched as a precaution.
Fires are fast, but fire sprinklers are faster. Fire sprinklers get water on a fire immediately to protect you and your property. Install fire sprinklers in your home or business today. Brought to you by Puget Sound Area Fire Protection Contractors.
Deftones. North American Tour 2025, live in Seattle. Climate Pledge Arena, February 27th. With special guests, the Mars Volta and Fleshwater. Get tickets this Friday at 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com. For more, visit Deftones.com.
Can't fix everything for everybody, but you can be there and listen and try to help with what you can. You're there to support them, and that's the best that you can do.
Justin Meek. He's the leader and caretaker of the 380 people who consider Lee Johnson their home.
This is my life. This is my family's life. The people that work here, they're my family. When something's not right with them, it's not right with us. My wife and 3 kids in the house, there's always something wrong with somebody at all times. And if there isn't, then something's wrong. When you have 388 employees, there's never a day that everything is good everywhere. You have to be okay with that. You have to look at that as opportunities to gain a better relationship with people and help them through what they're going through.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto Family.
Are you a skilled plumber looking for a top-rated team? Join Ben's Plumbing, rated 5 stars for exceptional service. Enjoy great pay and benefits, a supportive team, and a non-commissioned plumbing career. Apply now at bens.plumbing. That's bens.plumbing. With Floor Coverings International, the mobile flooring showroom comes to you. Book an appointment, pick out the flooring you like, and they'll order and install it for you. It's that easy. Visit fcifloors.com to book an appointment. Floor Coverings International, the stars of flooring.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Headed outdoors or on the water this weekend? Check in with Joey and Nellie on the Outdoor Line from 6 to 8 a.m. every Saturday on SeattleSports.com.
West Coast Men's Health has helped thousands of men overcome erectile dysfunction and Peyronie's disease using acoustic wave therapy. No pills and no shots. But it's not our success stories that separate us from the other clinics. It's how we interact with our patients. From your first call, our medical staff will take the time to answer your questions, whether it's about your ED, how our treatment works, or even about the cost. Our goal is to inform and educate you so you're comfortable when you come in for your first visit. So if you're tired of frustrating nights, you're ready to get off Viagra and put an end to your ED or Peyronie's disease, stop living with this problem and do something about it. Give West Coast Men's Health a call today. It's not just about better health, it's about a better life.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
This is the day of the big sale at your gift shop.
Welcome in.
So this isn't just a big day for your business. It's a big day for the network keeping it all connected. That is, if it can handle the pressure.
Next in line, please.
So is it possible to get business internet you can really count on? It is. With 99.9% network reliability from Comcast Business. It's like this neat little bow.
Do you like that gift wrap?
Really ties it all together. Reliable internet for your business. It's not just possible, it's happening. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Switch to Comcast Business and get started with reliable internet and advanced security for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get up to a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying internet package. Don't wait. Call or go online to switch today. Offer ends 9/22/24. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabit per second internet. Eagle bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After 12 months, regular rates apply.
Need to know. Brought to you by Ben's Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
Yeah, Seahawks game 3 of the season on Sunday at home against the Dolphins, but you already know that. What hopefully you've heard by now is that the injury report keeps getting a little bit better day by day for the Seahawks. We'll see what it looks like later this afternoon. But right now, only Kenneth Walker and Chenna Nwosu were totally unable to practice at all because of injuries. Everyone else was either, some veteran rest days, or they'd at least been moved up to being partial participants in practice. So that's great news. Hopefully it means George Fant is going to be able to go. Hopefully it means Farrell Brown we will see for the first time. And then probably the biggest name on that list, Boye Mafe, who's been a partial participant after leaving that game on Sunday in New England. Hopefully Boye has been cleared and ready to go because he's just been a force so far. And we keep hearing how important the edges are going to be in this game. You really want Boye to be at full speed and ready to go. The Seahawks have been pretty darn good. We've mentioned Charles Cross as being a guy that's going to be a huge factor and has been already. Ryan Grubb asked yesterday about this Miami defense and whether its similarities to Seattle's will play a role.
Schematically, yeah, similar, very similar. I think there's, just like any coordinator that's come from any branch or, they're going to have their own flavor on stuff, right? They're going to have some types of change, and they're going to have how they see or interpret the defense or offense schematically, and they're going to put their sauce on it.
All right, so everybody's got their own sauce, their own flavor, their own everything, but there will be some similarities. Can't wait to watch this game Sunday. Jets blew out the Patriots last night. Rams and Niners play this week. So either LA goes to 0-3 or the Niners go to 1-2, which is just, either scenario is super appetizing. Arizona will host Detroit. Remember, Seattle plays them next week, so hopefully Arizona at least beats them up a little bit.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
Mariners salvaged the finale at home against the Yankees team that I think had been partying a little bit the night before after celebrating their playoff clinching victory. Logan Gilbert, tremendous outing, finally rewarded for another one, and struck out his 200th batter of the season. Pretty cool accomplishment.
Yeah, it means a lot. I've seen Castillo do it, so that's kind of been motivation, and the best in the game I feel like can get there, so that's something that it starts with throwing a lot of innings and then starts with being able to get strikeouts too. So ton of credit to Cal for helping me get there and knowing what to call, and besides that, just try to get to 2 strikes as much as possible. That's really the nature of it.
Well, he's done it, and then from 2 strikes, he's found a lot of ways to put guys away. Where are they at standings-wise? It's not pretty. The Twins did lose yesterday, but the Tigers won, so those 2 teams are in a tie for the wild card. Mariners are realistically 3 games back of both of those teams with 9 to play. So if either Detroit or Minnesota goes as much as 5-4, you would have to finish 8-1 in order to win the wild card. So they go 6-3, you've got to go 9-0. Either of those teams go 7-2, there's nothing you can do. And now you're 5 back in the division with 9 to play against Houston. So again, incredibly challenging to try to pull either of those off. But what do you do if you're Dan Wilson?
I think we know, I don't think we're paying too much attention about what's ahead, in terms of the standings. I think we're looking at what we need to do each night, each day. Today we needed to pick up a win. We did. Now we're going into Texas. We got a 9-game sprint here now. We had a 12-game sprint 3 days ago. Now we got a 9-game sprint. And we're just going to do what it takes each night to win a ball game. And I think we'll look up at the end and see where we find ourselves.
It's the only thing you can do. It's absolutely the right attitude. We'll see if they can pull it off. Shohei Ohtani is unbelievable. He's so unbelievably good. We're not talking about it enough, and it's on all of us. But 6 for 6 yesterday with 3 jacks, including his 50th home run to become the first ever 50-50 player in all of Major League history. The athleticism that takes is kind of hard to fathom. The ability to hit that many home runs and to steal that many bases in this environment where hitting is as hard as it is, it's incredible. And oh, by the way, he's also maybe the best pitcher in baseball when he's healthy. How do you even put all of those things together in your mind? Dude's unbelievable.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
As the weather started to get a little nastier, I'm starting to think hockey, that's for sure. And Kraken started their training camp yesterday. Plenty of storylines to watch. New head coach and Dan Bilesma. Shane Wright as a top 5 pick that they've been waiting on, and we've seen some sort of fits and starts. Started to get it together a little bit late in the season when he made his final few games up at the big club. And he's going to start with the Kraken. He's not going to start in Coachella, and this is sort of his chance to show not just that he belongs, but that he is on a star track, which is what you're looking for out of somebody that you draft in that spot. He's not going to start as a top 6 forward, but can he get there sooner rather than later? I think some of that story will begin to be told this year. That's everything you need to know. We do a quarter past every hour here on the Brock and Salk Show. I saw Nika Mule got her first points of the season. That was kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Little steal and threw 2 points in there in front of Gino Ariema. So pretty darn cool for her as the Storm won last night, and they're about to start their playoffs as well. All right. Shall we open up the phones? That's what we do here on Fridays. 866-979-3776. 866-979-3776. What do you guys want to talk about? You want to talk about where the Mariners are at? Think they can pull this off? Going to be tough. Can they pull it off? You want to talk about the way they've been playing here over the course of the last few days of the last week? You want to talk about my take on Julio and Dan Wilson? I'm certainly willing to take some comments and calls on it, and I'll try to remain calm, I promise. 866-979-3776. The Seahawks are 2-0. Team's been unbelievable. The coaching, I think, has just been phenomenal from top to bottom. McDonald, Grubb. You like them against the Dolphins? Do you think this is real yet? Do you think that, 2 wins against a couple of quarterbacks that are not exactly, primetime players with a third potentially coming here against Skylar Thompson, do you need to see this against a more high-powered, more respectable offense and quarterback before you buy into what's going on? Or are you changing some of your view of what you think this team is capable of this year? Kraken start practice yesterday. If you have some thoughts on where they're going this year and what we should expect, whatever you guys want to talk about, Huskies, Cougs, you name it. 866-979-3776. If you think that they should eliminate the 2 high safeties like Mel Kiper does, we'll talk about that. Whatever you guys want. 866-979-3776. Your call's next on Brock and Salk.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
When you make the playoffs consistently, you just hit another gear. Do you think at any point the Houston Astros, when they were 10 games back or when they were really struggling, having the worst season they'd had in 6 years, we're out of this?
Probably not.
Because winning a lot and winning consistently changes you.
It really does.
And so that's the next level for the Mariners to get to, frankly. In addition to adding this offseason, in addition to doing all of these things, make yourself intimidating. Make yourself the bully. Make yourself believe in yourself. This team just needs to sharpen that.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app.
Hey, Mike Salk here. The weekend nearly upon us. Are you looking for that fun night out? One that's only 30 minutes from downtown? You know what I'm going to say. Snoqualmie Casino. It's the place to go. They got the whole expansion coming up here. But right now, just go watch sports. Enjoy a great happy hour. Everything that comes with that. Oh, yeah, they've got it all there. Falls Buffet, serving up your favorites. The prime rib, the fresh pasta, made-to-order stir-fry, noodles, pizza, salad bar, dessert bar, pies made every day. Yep, all of it. Vista also has the amazing happy hour menus, which start at 4 p.m. It's all at Seattle's closest casino. Only 30 minutes from downtown. Online at snocasino.com. It is Seattle's closest Snoqualmie Casino.
As fall and winter weather sets in, your lawn becomes a muddy mess, and your kids and pets bring the mud inside. But with Synthetic Turf Northwest, you can have a lush, green yard year-round. No mud, no mess. Their premium synthetic turf systems drain fast and stay clean, no matter how hard it rains. Right now, during the Fall Blitz, you can save up to $1,500 on a new synthetic lawn. So say goodbye to muddy paws and say hello to your dream lawn. Call Synthetic Turf Northwest today or visit syntheticturfnorthwest.com to get started.
You're free now. Free to fill your feed with impossibly chonky chonkers who chonk harder than you ever thought possible.
Cats, corgis, babies, baby penguins, baby pandas, chunky baby pandas.
Free to make your smart devices do silly things. Free to open a world of remote work and a portal into Gametopia.
Who's the boss now?
Free to be everything you imagine and then some. That's how it feels to have Quantum Fiber Internet. Quantum Fiber, your world unleashed. Learn more at quantumfiber.com. Limited availability, service in select locations only.
At the Home Depot, we know you can't control everything, like when your guests arrive too early for Saturday college football. But you can control your grill. With the Traeger Timberline XL, you can watch the game, not the grill. Monitor your football feast from anywhere using the Traeger app. With the Timberline XL, you can bake, smoke, sear, fry, and saute. That's Desmond Howard level versatility.
Huddle up, the food's done.
Defend your game time with Traeger and the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Check it out, the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence and camera control for easy access. At Verizon, you can get it when you trade in any phone from one of their top brands.
Any?
Any.
Even if it's 4 years old?
Yeah.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk?
Yep.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk, then a scooter runs it over, so now it's not just old and cracked, but shattered?
With Verizon, the answer is always yes. New and existing customers can trade in any phone from one of our top brands in any condition for the new iPhone 16 Pro with Unlimited Ultimate. Trade-in terms apply. See Verizon.com for details.
For over 111 years, Pacific Lamp and Supply Company has been your #1 lighting specialist in Washington. From the Space Needle in Seattle and now all the way to the Riverwalk in Spokane. With the largest lighting inventory in Washington, Pacific Lamp's knowledgeable and experienced staff can assist you with any lighting issue, as well as help with intricate lighting and control designs. Plus, they work with all utilities in Washington to get you the best available lighting rebates. Pacific Lamp and Supply Company, Washington's lighting expert since 1912. Visit pacificlamp.com.
Maura Dooley here. It's time to recognize a woman in our sports community with the 2024 Women of Inspiration Award. The nominations are in, and the Seattle chapter of WISE, which stands for Women in Sports and Events, needs your help selecting a winner. Voting is open now until September 20th at woiseattle.org. The winner will receive a generous cash donation from WISE and their partners for the cause of their choice. Help honor a local woman today. Vote by September 20th at woiseattle.org.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Watch your favorite show live at seattlesports.com.
O'Brien Auto Group has some of the best new car brands in the Northwest. Those great new vehicles make the best pre-owned vehicles as well. O'BrienAutoGroup.com for the best factory certified vehicles. O'BrienAutoGroup.com for a large selection of the best pre-owned cars and trucks. O'BrienAutoGroup.com. Choose from hundreds of SUVs, trucks, hybrids, EVs, and more. O'BrienAutoGroup.com. One site is all you need. That's OBRIEN Autogroup.com.
O'Brien. I grew up in a very angry time.
A night of comedy at Emerald Queen Casino Event Center.
We were afraid of your dad.
Friday, October 4th. Hold on tight. It's Bill Burr.
Like, I love seeing kids nowadays loving their dad.
Tickets at emeraldqueen.com.
When I was a kid, I was like, Dad, run! Run!
Don't miss Bill Burr, October 4th at the Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest. 21 and older. Need gambling help? Call 800-547-6133 or visit emeraldqueen.com.
Hey, Brock Heward here, along with IRG Physical and Hand Therapy President and CEO, Shannon O'Kelly. Now, Shannon, I need to ask you if what I've been hearing is true. You don't need a referral, really, to see a physical therapist in the state of Washington?
That's exactly right, Brock. The state of Washington is a state that has what's called direct access. That means that if you get up in the morning, for example, and you hurt your back or did something to your muscles or tendons or joints, you can call a physical therapist directly, and we can get you in that same day and start your care and your recovery process.
How can patients get scheduled with IRG?
Oh, it's easy. You just contact us at irgpt.com. We'll direct you to our concierge service, and we'll take care of all that for you. We handle all the authorization, verification. We want our patients to understand their insurance benefits and what the outcomes are going to be with their visit to IRG Physical and Hand Therapy.
Please, please, please don't let injuries keep you from your passion. Schedule online today at irgpt.com and start the journey back to your best self.
This hour is brought to you by Muckleshoot Casino Resort.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Let's listen to some of that fella Cootie. Let's let that play out a little bit. Oh, yeah. It's Friday. The sun's not exactly shining, but it's still the weekend. Seahawks are 2-0. Feels pretty good. I like that. Gonna hit the golf course later. Gonna see a concert tonight. Numos for the Sheepdogs, so I'm in a happy mood. 866-979-3776, the phone number, as we will take some calls to finish off this show. Looks like I got one line open, so jump aboard here. Seahawks, Mariners. I got somebody here with a Miami Vice trivia question. Is that right? Is that Toes in Seattle?
Said he thought he could stump you.
I'm sure he can. Should we start there?
I also had to get him to spell that because I wasn't sure I was hearing it right when he said
I'll
toes.
start there. I got a bunch of Seahawks and Mariners stuff, but I don't mind. I don't mind starting there. Let's go with Toes in Seattle. Toes, what's going on?
Hey, Salk. You claim to be a big Miami Vice fan, so
I'm
I
a
thought I'd hit
fan.
you up since the Hawks are playing Miami.
All right, what do you got? Hit me. Let's see how I do.
All right. They have a lot of musical guests on the show.
Yes.
And actually, there's about 10 Grammy Award winners. Can you name at least like 5?
5 Emmy Award winners? Let's see. Glenn Frey?
Correct.
Phil Collins?
Correct.
Did Ted Nugent ever win a Grammy?
No.
Okay.
And it's not the Fat Boys. Here's the hit.
It's not the Fat Boys. Those would be the 3 that spring to mind. I don't know.
Okay.
Sheila E? Sheila E?
Sheena Easton? Yeah.
Or Sheena Easton. Sorry, that's what I meant. Sheena Easton. Okay,
Yeah.
I got 3 and then a 4th. Okay, that's pretty good. Who else you got?
Give me 2 cliche drug potheads.
Guys who played them?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. I don't know.
In the music business.
Oh, man. I don't think I could do that. Who you got?
Okay. Willie Nelson and Tommy Chong.
Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, that's pretty good. I know Ted Nugent was the guy who blew up Sonny's Spider, right?
Yes. But if I tried to look. It didn't look like he won any Grammys.
Okay. All right. Well, good stuff. Thanks, man. Thanks, Toes. Appreciate the trivia.
welcome.
All right. That's a good start for today. That was unexpected. How did I do? I think I did all right, considering that show hasn't been on in like 30 years, and I was like 10 years old when it went off the air. What year did Miami Vice end? Like 1990? I was like 12.
No clue.
Yeah. I mean, I think I did okay considering. I was a little kid when that thing was on. Sheesh. 866-979-3776. We'll try maybe some more sports stuff. Let's do Jake in Portland. Jake, what's up? Good morning.
Hey, so long time, first time.
Cool. Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. So regardless of whether it was reasonable for Julio to lose all awareness of the situation the other night, I do think that it fits in with a broader pattern of him lacking focus, which usually manifests itself in poor plate discipline, and hence the mediocre season he's had. And I'm starting to get the impression that he cares less about winning than he does about playing to the crowd, and always, even when he and the team are playing badly, always showing everyone how much fun he's having because he assumes that everyone thinks it's cute. And it reminds me of how Jimmy Fallon, back when he was on SNL, would always purposefully start laughing in the middle of every sketch because he knew that the live audience would eat it up. And yes, that was just a comedy show, and yes, this is just a game. But I think that somebody needs to sit Julio down this winter and remind him how much money he's getting paid to do his job, and that he needs to grow up a bit and take it more seriously.
Well, I love the call, Jake, and thanks for the take. That's a lot. I mean, that's a pretty big accusation. I don't know whether I'm comfortable making all of that, but I appreciate where you're coming from, I guess. I like the Fallon reference. I think that's a good comp. But I don't know whether I would say that Julio doesn't care about winning. I don't know whether he cares more about fun than winning or anything. That feels like a stretch. Is there room for more concentration? Is there room for more focus? Is there another level that he might need to take it to that would kind of bring him to that? Yeah, maybe. I think that's a very real conversation. And that was some of what I was trying to reference earlier when I made my point about Dan Wilson's comments. Again, I'm not saying Dan did the wrong thing. I'm just saying either Dan went real hard on Julio, and that's a surprise. Maybe it's because Julio needed it after a year in which he just hasn't had the level of focus, concentration, et cetera, and there have been other issues maybe that we haven't seen behind the scenes. 866-979-3776. Let me try Paul in Renton. Good morning, Paul.
Hey, Mike. Happy Fellow Cuda Friday.
Thanks, buddy.
I'm gonna piggyback off of kind of what Jake was just saying there, is that I think Julio's level of focus is also a concern for me. And it's not always, right? I mean, I understand baseball, you should be having some fun, but in that play where he's on third base, in that moment, he's chatting with Jazz Chisholm. He's not locked into, this is the 10th inning, I'm the tying run, I got to be focused on what's going on in the game. He's having a conversation with Jazz Chisholm. And I think that kind of led into him kind of just letting things loose a little bit and kind of just having more fun, jolly. And when he plays teams like the Dodgers and the Yankees or even the Padres, where there's superstars on those teams, he's more about engaging with the players on the other teams in a sense of smiling with them when they catch a fly ball or make a good play with them. It's like, buddy, you got to be more locked in if you want that superstar status, because you're not seeing Judge do that or Mookie do that. And if you want to get to their level, I think you need to lock in a little more. And I think that's probably what Dan's message was coming from, is like, he's played with a guy that was a superstar, and he knows what it takes to be that way in terms of focus. And I think Julio needs to get away from trying to engage with the other superstars to kind of almost show that they're on the same level, but almost lock in and then make it just equate it that way.
Yeah, there may be some maturing. There's no doubt. I mean, again, I didn't see what happened the other day as being necessarily an example of all of that. Your point about kind of chatting with Jazz Chisholm is a very good one. And is that what was going on kind of leading up to it? That's a fair point. And that may very well factor into this. I still think that a bat flying at somebody does not necessarily, I think like that sort of changes up the focus a little bit. And so I don't know, I'm just not going to criticize him for that, but
absolutely. I do think.
But the bigger picture is a really good question, and Paul, you may be absolutely giving a great explanation for why Dan made this stuff public. Again, Victor Robles, Justin Turner, Leo Rivas, all have made some form of mental mistake since Dan has been the manager here. None of them got called out for it. Julio did. So why? And I think your potential reasoning there, it's an interesting one. Again, I don't know exactly what's going on. I do think it helps sometimes in some players to be loose, right? Being loose for gripping that bat tight doesn't help. But focus and concentration, always going to be important parts of this game because it's such a marathon, because every play matters, because you just never know when something weird is going to happen. I think those are great points. 866-979-3776. Let me try Riker in Bellevue. What's up, Riker? Good morning.
Hey man, how's it going?
What's up?
I just wanted to follow up with you about last week. This is Gino's agent calling.
Oh yes, you were the guy who was obsessed with Gino.
Yeah.
I remember now. Yeah, people thought you were his
I
agent.
just want to let you know. Yeah, no, I am low key, but I just think the guy's special, man. And I was listening to your interview with our coach, and I don't know, just. I didn't even know about the whole, the whole no passes out of, or one or two passes that were inaccurate out of all 44 attempts. That's obviously quite hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I just had a quick question for you. I have nothing really else to say. I was just wondering, in your opinions, if he's not in the top 10, just regarding national media, not what me and you think. Obviously, you and I love that he's here. I just want to know, what is your opinion about, why do you think the national media still has him sitting at, say, 13 or 12 or 14 or 16?
Well, because I don't think it's not the national media. I mean, again, it's the league. It's the other GMs and the other scouts and the other players. They don't put him into that elite category with some of the other guys. He's never won a playoff game. I mean, obviously that's going to factor in, and that's something that a lot of guys are going to look at. The beginning of the career didn't go great. That's not unique. And as we said, some of the guys who are having the best seasons right now at quarterback are folks that were left for dead or are on their third or fourth team. So that's not enough, but just some of the pedigree and, whether the questions of whether or not he can really carry a team on his back because he hasn't done it yet. I think that's kind of where that comes down to. 866-979-3776. Let me try Scott in Birch Bay. What's going on, Scott? Good morning.
Good morning. I just think we kind of missed something on the Julio thing, and given clearly the biggest problem the Mariners have had all year long is striking out, and particularly striking out in situations where no one should be striking out. And if you stacked every strikeout the Mariners had all year long, the single worst one is the one that led to that play.
Mm-hmm.
First and third, nobody out. All he's got to do is hit a double play ball to the second baseman, and the Mariners' season doesn't end that day.
I know.
And he goes up there, strikes out, and throws his bat at somebody and gets him picked off second base. And I'm not saying Randy's got to go either, because it's one play and baseball's a hard game, and I'm not saying get rid of anybody, but we're missing I think almost the lead on that story and how horrendously bad that strikeout was.
It wasn't a good or bad. Here's the thing, and again, I've been kind of defensive of Julio here, but I will say mental mistakes, mental lapses are always going to enrage fans, I think, for good reason,
Absolutely.
More than physical ones. And Randy made a physical mistake. He didn't get a hit in an at-bat where you need him to. I'm not excusing it, but it's physical. It wasn't mental. Mental mistakes are the ones that drive people crazy.
Is that purely physical, though, or is his inability to take the mental approach of putting the ball in play on that bat really a mental mistake, not a physical one, and not understanding the situation?
I have a hard time getting to that point. I just think that major league pitchers are so freaking good right now.
They are.
That it's really hard for me to say, oh, you just didn't go into it with the right mentality. I'm not saying you're wrong, because maybe that's part of it. I don't know what's in his mind there. That's the other thing that makes it hard. But these pitchers, Scott, are so
Yeah, well, and I'm saying it as a guy who's happy that Randy's on the team. I'm not saying
I know.
that he's the individual problem either. Do I think they could package Randy with Kirby or somebody and get a really special young batter to play outfield this offseason? Maybe, but I'm happy Randy's on the team.
I like Birch Bay, man. You go over to what Drayton Oyster Company? What's that place called?
Yep, Drayton Harbor Oyster Company.
Drayton Harbor, man. That's my spot. I love it up there, man. Birch Bay, very cool. Great. Love the grilled oysters at Drayton. That's a pretty cool spot. Thanks for the phone call. Appreciate you. Got a couple lines open if you guys want to jump in. Just a few more minutes. 866-979-3776. Open lines. Apparently we're talking Miami Vice, Julio, and a little bit of Geno so far today. Not a ton of Seahawks calls. What's up, Seahawks fans? You just kind of coasting? 2-0. You're like, whatever. I don't need to call. Everything's golden. We're 2-0. It's fine. You're going to play Skylar Thompson. You guys looking ahead to week 4? Is that the problem? 866-979-3776. Funny, I'm not hearing from a lot of Husky fans this week either. It's weird. Let me try Joel in Seattle. What's up, Joel? Good morning.
How you doing? I had a take for you about Major League hitting these days, and see if you agree as a student of the game. I'm taken with, and some of these guys have so much talent they hit in any era, in any way.
Hey, Joel, I'm having a hard time here. Hey, Joel, just having a hard time hearing you. I don't know if you're using a Bluetooth or something like that. Can you just go to your regular phone?
Yes, just 1 second.
We'll give you a sec here. I'll tell you what. I'll put you on hold. I'll come back to you. All right? I'll come back to you. Let me try. Did that work? No, it didn't work. You're still there. Joel, hello? You still there? All right. We got Joel on hold. We'll come back to Joel. There's only so much you can do here. Let me try Rudy in Bremerton. What's up, Rudy? Good morning. Hello, Rudy.
Hey, big fan of the show. Thanks for taking my call.
There we go. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. What's up?
Hey, well, I just want to take a second. And Shohei Ohtani is just phenomenal. And I was watching him last night. I mean, 6 for 6 with 3 dingers. Are you kidding me?
Isn't that crazy?
And it just made me really sad that the Mariners weren't more aggressive. Because if you watch the game, the people in Miami are like they have a big crowd for them. They're having a crappy year, but they were showing out for him. And just you can't. I just have a.
Nope. I don't know where you went. Well, we just lost like 4 people off the lines at the same. What's going on over there? We're having some technical phone issues. Everybody just disappeared all at once. All right. Well, let me try to address the show.
That was probably my mistake. Sorry.
Maura, how dare you? This is Friday. We need to talk to the people today. I will just say on Shohei, 1, the Mariners gave it as good a run as you could possibly give it the first time. Okay. The second time, obviously not quite the same. Should they have gone even harder? Yes. He pays for himself. He's the only player in the league that does. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen them go even harder after Shohei Ohtani. Would he have come here? I don't know. Maybe not. But I absolutely, there's no, he's like Caitlin Clark, right? I mean, he's that kind of a game changer that pays for himself or herself because of the interest in them. And in his case, what he can bring in the international market, money that you don't have to rev share. Yeah, I absolutely think that was a lost opportunity. 866-979-3776. Let me try Aaron in Yakima. What's up, Aaron? Good morning.
Morning, Salky. Big fan. Just curious your thoughts on Kraken season starting up this weekend. First preseason game on Sunday. Training camp is rolling. I like the additions. I think that puts us at 7 or 8, potentially 9 roster players that have all won a Stanley Cup before.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think scoring is still going to be a problem on the top end. With no bona fide superstar that can go get you, 30 or 40. But yeah, I'm excited.
Well, I think you and I see that pretty similarly, honestly, Aaron. I mean, look, here's my question. I kind of like some of what they did. I like Montour probably better than I like Stevenson as a signing, and we'll see how all of that plays out. I still just kind of have the same question about the Kraken, which is how many guys on this team are legitimate frontline, first-line forwards? They got a lot of guys that are top 6. They've got a lot of second-line guys on this team. More than 3, more than 6. But how many guys do they have that are legitimate, top-line, cup-winning kinds of players? And I don't know how many they have.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think having that many, though, maybe creates a little bit of voice in the locker room to rely on to mature, hopefully, Beniers and Wright into a potentially second line center and maybe another, fortunately, good second line center. But yeah, top end scoring is definitely going to be an issue, and scoring by committee in the NHL can be tough.
I totally love it. Love the take. Thanks for calling in, man. Appreciate it. Have a good day in Yakima, watching a little hockey. I'll keep going. Let's go to Josh in Tacoma. What's up, Josh? Good morning.
Hey, Mike. How are you doing, bud?
Awesome. What's up?
Hey, so, kind of looking at what the Seahawks have showed so far and what I've seen out of Mike McDonald and whatnot, of the talent that I think we see on the defense, I think that it really comes down to Scott Huff and his ability to develop some of these young guys on the offensive line is really going to make or break the Seahawks season and their ability to actually contend in the NFC West.
You may very well be right about that. And, so far, obviously the improvement in Charles Cross has to speak pretty well for Scott Huff, right? I mean, he's the guy who's been most in charge of that. Ray was talking about the coaching and how good it's been. I got to give the guy some credit there, right? I mean, just got to love the improvement in that one player. Now, if the rest of the guys can pull it off, then we'll really have, a whole conversation, right?
Yeah, I think I'm critically looking at the guards, right? I think you had talent in Cross. He was top of the draft. And if Abraham Lucas is able to come back, you feel good about that spot. It's really seeing what at left guard and right guard and his ability to make the decision on how to address, having Tomlinson in at left guard, or do they move the rookie over there?
Yep.
And what they really do there, I think, is really going to make or break how they do this season.
Love it. Appreciate the phone call, Josh. Let me try Joel in Seattle again. Joel, we got you a better connection this time. What's up?
Yeah, take two, still rolling.
Much better.
Okay?
Sound much better, yes.
Okay. All right. So as a student of the game, I wanted to try a point of view about hitting on size for you. So, I see guys like Bobby Witt Jr., Juan Soto, even Aaron Judge, Ohtani, and okay, those guys would hit an air talented. But I do think you're seeing this generation of hitters with the lift and separate, pull happy, chasing launch angle, and I will point to two guys on our team who are poster children for that, which are Jorge Polanco and Garber, great pull hitters. And I think what you're going to see, and what is exciting to me about where offense catching up with the dominant pitching in the league, is that you're going to see a next crust of hitters who are going to go back to that hitting the ball everywhere, because there's certain pitches that you're seeing from major league pitchers, 97 on the top outside of the zone, you can't pull that pitch.
Yeah,
you absolutely can't. So I just wonder if you think that that's going to be a next wave and a way hitters start to catch up with pitchers and the stuff that you're seeing in the league.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point you make, Joel, and I thanks for the call there. Chris Taylor, who was here, right, went to the Dodgers and kind of became the positive poster child for the style of hitting that you're saying is sort of may go out of fashion, right? Taylor goes there. They teach him how to lift the ball in the air, and he goes from being a borderline fringe major league utility infielder to being a key player in a bunch of their runs to World Series. So, yeah, I mean, that's sort of been the thing for the last few years. These games are constantly evolving. We were talking about it earlier with the running game and the passing game and the defense in football. That may be a good take on where the future of baseball is going. That being said, I don't think home runs are going out of style, right? Like, home runs are still the best and most important thing you can do in that game. I don't think on base percentage or home runs, power are going to go out of style. Would I like to see more gap-to-gap hitting in the game? Sure. Would I like to see more doubles? Yes, that'd be great.
Speaking of, I know we're getting out of here, but real quick, G texted us last night, and I wanted to know if you agreed with what he said, that Shohei getting to 50-50, like in the 80s and 90s, would have been like just the
Much
biggest story everywhere. And he's like, people care more about Thursday Night Football right now.
Yeah, again, we don't have time to do this whole thing now, but I'll just give you my 20-second version of what I think has happened in sports. The NFL is everything to everybody. It's a local sport, and it's a national sport. Major League Baseball is a local sport. People care deeply about their local teams and are not generally invested in the national storylines. The NBA is the polar opposite, where I don't think people care that much about their local product because 28 of the 30 teams stink, but they really care about the national storylines and the soap operas. yes, G's right. To me, that doesn't mean baseball's dead. It means baseball's local. And to compare anything to the NFL is good luck. They're the only sport that really is kind of doing both things at once. So, long-standing take of mine. I don't know. You guys can disagree with it. It wouldn't be the first time today. All right, we got to get out of here. Thank you, Maura. Thank you, Lyle. Thank you, Brady, for actually showing up today, like Stacy, unlike Brock and Daniel Jeremiah, who will be back with us next week. Brock will be on Monday. We'll have another Seahawks game to talk about. I think we'll know pretty well where the Mariners are at by Monday, if we don't already. Stick around for Bump and Stacy. They're coming up next. Have a great, great, great weekend, everybody. And the hay is in the barn. See ya.
Get to the chopper!
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
After this weekend, 3 games in, Mike McDonald could be dealing with something that he probably thought he wouldn't be dealing with all the hype behind the Seattle Seahawks. For the national perspective, if they're 3-0, people are going to be like, oh my God, Hawks are contenders.
Yeah.
But we know they got to twist some things.
I almost want, even though I would always root for an underdog, the Saints to lose, because if they drop anywhere close to 40 on the Eagles, they're going to be the story, and the Seahawks are going to be, hello? What about me?
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app.
When a product is made better, it lasts longer. Sounds simple, but Toyota of Kirkland wants you to know it's actually savvy. With Toyota's certified program at Toyota of Kirkland, you can score a high-quality, low-mileage Toyota at a great price. Talk about savvy. The tremendous team at Toyota of Kirkland has plenty of certified inventory for you to come see, test drive, and take home all in the same day. Now that's truly savvy. Visit the Savvy showroom at Toyota of Kirkland today or toyotaofkirkland.com.
Uh-oh, looks like your plumbing just threw a Hail Mary into the wrong end zone. But don't worry, folks. Flowhawks Plumbing and Septic is here to intercept the mess. From busted pipes to clogged drains, we've got the plays that'll turn your plumbing fumble into a winning touchdown. Why risk a penalty? Call Flowhawks, the hometown heroes who will blitz that plumbing problem before it costs you the game. Because when your pipes are on the line, we bring our A game. Talk to the Hawk, 1-800-FLOWHAWK. That's 1-800-FLOHAWK.
Hey, babe. Yeah, the bank password is moneybags, but a $sign instead of the S.
Mr. Moneybags here is about to get his identity stolen.
Wait, what?
If he used 1Password, he can share logins, credit cards, and other important information with just his wife, not the whole store.